Hey guys, it's Courtney from Cosmic Clarity Astrology, and before we jump into today's video about the Taurus New Moon, I wanted to let you guys know that I have launched a membership that is starting on the 17th. You can join now, but our first call is on the 17th, and we're going to be going over the Taurus New Moon in a workshop, in a live workshop. And you don't have to have any previous astrology experience, but if you want to have a community that you're a part of where you can reflect on the transits of the moon and manifest and all the kind of traditional stuff, but a lot more around personal development and growth and shadow work and self-awareness and really using astrology as a very practical tool in your day-to-day life to reflect or to get ahead in certain ways, then the Moon Circle membership is for you. I'm also adding on an additional tier for those of you who are wanting to learn a lot more about transits in particular. So this is the Explorer tier, and in this tier we're going to be developing our relationship with astrology and our knowledge with astrology. So we're going to be tracking the major transits of that month. We're going to be taking a look at certain lessons, like our first lesson is around Uranus, since it has shifted into Gemini and will remain here for many years. So we're going to learn how to interpret that within our own chart context, as well as have a kiki and just general hangout, and have kind of show you my framework for how I look at transits, and do also kind of the coaching element as well in terms of how to use the astrology in our day-to-day lives. So this tier is for you if you already dabble in reading your own chart, if you have at least a basic understanding of reading your chart and you've wanted to get into tracking your transits, but you maybe lack a little bit of knowledge, or maybe you want a little bit of support. And what's really cool about this membership is that we're all teaming up and putting our kind of hive mind together in a way where we're taking our wisdom from these transits, from these experiences, and all putting it in one place in the Cosmic Patterns library. So if you want to see what somebody else has been through when they have a similar chart to yours or similar transit to yours, then you can check out that Cosmic Patterns library to see kind of historically the database of all of our collective experiences in one. So the reason I started this membership is because I wanted a place for us all to land, to have, again, this kind of shared camaraderie, this ability to work on ourselves, and to most importantly connect with other people who speak the same language as us, the language of the stars. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out. I will link that down below. I also created a free tier, so if you are not ready to commit to the membership itself today, you can sign up for the free tier, and in that you'll get a monthly overview where I break down week by week what is going on in the general astrology, as well as pull cards. And this can be really helpful if you want to start planning with astrology. So if you want to anticipate, what is the best time for me to make an important decision, or to have an important conversation, or to avoid spending money, or if I'm going to feel tired and I need to plan more rest. Those are the kinds of things that I bring up in this monthly overview, and it's extremely helpful. It's already up on my membership right now. If you go under collections, you will see it under monthly overview. And you'll see the Gemini season 1 in particular. And I am doing it by solar season. So whatever sign the sun is in. So we're about to enter Gemini season not too far from now. And so that's the first full month forecast that I have available for everybody who wants to join for free. So again, make sure you check that out in the description box down below. Okay, so this Taurus New Moon happening on May 16th, 2026 is a really beautiful time for us. In particular, this is a time when we have the opportunity to plant a seed, to have a new beginning, to have something bloom in our life. And in particular, this could be on the back of things feeling hard, feeling heavy, maybe feeling quite volatile or disruptive or challenging in some ways. And there's a lot of reasons for this, but I do think that a lot of this new moon has this type of energetic link to the past. We did just have Uranus, which is actually technically conjunct this new moon. You can see here it's at 1 degree and this new moon is at 25. So this Uranus is still conjunct this new moon, and it does represent this kind of new leaf and this turning over and this change. But Uranus also has just shifted out of the sign of Taurus, where it's been for the last 7-ish years. So we've been going through this kind of Uranian volatility within the area of Taurus. And now we're finally getting a chance to utilize this Uranus energy of change and movement in the area of Taurus, but in a way where it's not destabilizing. In fact, it's producing the necessary kind of next steps for us. So what does that mean? So this area of our life might have felt, again, very uncertain for the last 7 years. For example, I have my Venus in Taurus, and I would say like the last 7 years or so, relationships have kind of been up and down, and there's been a lot of learning lessons. And so wherever you have Taurus, wherever you have placements like planets in Taurus, you might have felt similarly over these last 7 or so years. And so now that we're having a new moon with Uranus, but now in a different sign, in the same house, or sorry, in the same sign that Uranus was just in, we're getting a chance to create kind of roots or a foundation of something based off of the new energy that's coming in for us, based off of all the changes that we've made, the lessons that we've learned, the things that we've gone through this past cycle. So it's allowing us to root down and create a sense of stability, to plant a seed, to have something bloom in our life that is based off of totally new types of energy. Because again, we've challenged all the past notions of what Taurian energy or Taurus energy looked like in our lives before. So all my previous ways of engaging in relationships before would have looked one way, and then you start to have all these updates and realizations. And this new moon allows us to create a new type of relationship for myself, for example, but everyone to some extent, because Venus does rule the sign of Taurus, and Venus is a relationship planet. So I hope that makes sense. So for example, one of the things that I'm doing right now is launching a membership. So this is a new way to engage with my audience, but also my clients, and get a lot like more of the sense of community that I think I've been kind of not having, because YouTube doesn't really have the community element necessarily. So think about this for yourself. Where do you have Taurus? What house is it in? And what planets do you have there if you have any? And think about what has been unstable or changing, or what you've learned these last 7 years. And then apply that to your life now, how you're meant to move forward in a way that is experimental and new and fresh within that area of your life and what you've learned about it. So yeah, and I think that one of the biggest things is that we're going to have a totally unexpected approach, or again, inviting a lot of change and newness. I really feel like this is a very dynamic energy, because Venus, the ruler of this new moon, is in Gemini. So we're meant to be really coming at this through that kind of perspective that's open-minded, where we're taking other people's ideas into consideration, where we're challenging, again, our existing ways of doing things. And it's almost like being able to be a learner, or like coming at it from fresh eyes or fresh start. That's really what I'm seeing here, is this idea of being able to regroup into a totally new, into a totally new fresh start, and through new eyes in this area of our life. So again, it will depend on what house you have Taurus in, and I'll go through all the signs in a minute. But this is a very exciting time. I definitely think, with all planets direct right now, except for Pluto, with the Chariot and the Ten of Wands, I really think that we're going to come into a phase of moving very quickly, and for things are going to finally feel like they are less burdensome, that we have a chance to grow without the usual feeling of being super weighed down by something of the past, or by, I think, like, one of the things I was asking Spirit, like, what is the particular blessing with this? Like, what are we not weighed down by anymore? And I feel like for a lot of us, there was some stubbornness with the Nine of Wands in reverse, you know, this inability to see something through a new lens, or an inability to challenge your existing notions of something. Maybe your consciousness wasn't ready for a new framework or a new positioning around something. And now I feel like we are ready. We are much more malleable. We are much more receptive and open-minded now than before. So that's one of the blessings from this new moon. Another one is the Seven of Swords. I think before we might have acted in ways that were somewhat like limiting to ourselves, or self-sabotaging. Maybe even we experienced some, you know, past heartache and deceptive type of energy. Like maybe the volatility reflected certain areas of our life that things were happening without our full understanding or awareness or agency. So things happening to us, again, that could have thrown us off, or ways that we, again, self-sabotage and get in our own way. So that is also something that I think is changing. I think we're becoming very perceptive. We're seeing things a lot clearer now. We're seeing the honesty and the truth, how we're contributing to something or what we are a part of, and how people and things that we're involved in are actually influencing us. And because we can see the actual matrix that we're living in and operating under, we can now work in a more strategic way rather than that physical, like, material reality that we're in being elusive to us, and then it feels like it's outside of our control. So there's something here around being able to manipulate more of the reality that we are in to work in our favor. And that is what I'm seeing with this Taurus new moon. I feel like not only are we like sabotaging less, but there's a level of understanding the mechanics of something in our life to get to, and knowing what things we have to change in order to get certain results. So if I know that I'm always like finding these kinds of people, what do I literally have to do in my life, or what do I have to think or believe, or how do I have to act or change to reflect like a different type of energy to attract different types of relationships? Or maybe this is more practical in the material world, since Uranus was in Taurus. Like maybe there's something around, you know, finances or something that you're realizing that you can make certain changes around. So again, it's having a little bit more agency or control or awareness over the mechanics to act strategically around something in our life, to move forward uninhibited, instead of, again, kind of being a victim to something that you don't understand. So that's what I see. I think that that's like a really major change in this regard that is going to allow us to not only bloom in an area of our life and plant a seed, but for that to happen in a really unrestrained way, especially with all planets but Pluto direct. So Venus in Gemini, again, is really speaking to us needing to be quite adaptable, quite open-minded. I do think that we could have some insecurities potentially come up still, even though we are moving forward, we're moving forward quickly, things are going to work out quite well. I just get a really good feeling about this new moon overall. So there is that. But I do think that because this Venus is making this very tight sextile to Mars and Chiron in Aries, I do think that there are some sensitivities that can come up here, some insecurities, so that we are taking action, we're moving forward, but we're also rubbing up a little bit against our kind of nervousness, or maybe some of our fears, or some of our, you know, personal, like, kind of growth edges, basically. So let's speak to those for a second here. So in the cards, I see the Seven of Pentacles. This is really what Taurus is all about. Seven of Pentacles to me is somebody, you know, planting a garden, planting the seed for something that they want to last a long time. And the Seven of Pentacles is a very slow, methodical, I'm going to curate and resource and build this thing up over many years for it to be sustainable for my entire life. That is Taurus energy. It's a fixed earth sign. It's something that we're creating right now or building right now that is meant to have longevity, sustainability, and just stability in our lives in general. So that's what I see. But then we also have the Nine of Swords and Five of Swords. So there's some stress involved here. Maybe there is stress around competition, or around maybe feeling like there's a little bit of survival instinct coming up. Mars can do that. Mars rules survivorship. It rules conflict and competition and stress. So there might be a little bit of that kind of underneath our nerves, fraying our nerves a little bit, and making us fearing kind of the negative outcomes that Chiron often instigates within our mind. So what is that fear that we have is going to happen? I think that there's a few different scenarios. They all might apply to you, or maybe just a couple of them will. So we have the Lovers in reverse. Some of you guys may be going through an experience of needing to break up or break off with certain people in your life. This might need to reorient you to new types of relationships that have stability and longevity, that Seven of Pentacles, that Taurus energy. And that might differ from what you're currently investing into. So instead of continuing to invest into something that doesn't have the longevity, you guys might need to redirect that energy, and in that process, leave certain people or places, especially people. This could also be like a job though. Like if you're not in the right job and you know that your dream career is out there, your dream business, your dream path in life, or even dream home or partner or something like that, or friendship group, like this is something that's not a match, that you're going to have to leave to reorient and invest your time and energy into somewhere that it does. So some of you guys might have the fear around that. Like, what if I do give that up? What if I don't find what's better on the other side? What if X, Y, and Z happens? And so that's I think that that fear of being alone could really come out with this Lovers in reverse. Some of you guys with the Queen of Cups in reverse could also be feeling a little bit like emotionally dysregulated. Sometimes that can happen with Mars and Chiron. We can get our fears working into our head, and then it can throw us off emotionally. So part of this Taurus new moon is about working through a lot of that and healing that. I mean, I don't think that this new moon is like triggering necessarily. I feel like that was more of the previous kind of new and full moons that we've been going through recently. But I do feel like there is a potential for some stickiness to still remain a little bit as we're moving forward here. So the Queen of Cups could feel that emotional dysregulation if that's still present. And you could just feel like more affected by something, like making a mountain out of a molehill, blowing up something that someone says or something that you see online, or creating like this kind of correlation or causation in your head around something that isn't really linked. Like, oh, they said this, or this is going on in the world, so this horrible thing's going to happen. And that's why I see this as like an emotional exaggeration of something. So that could also be going on for us. And then the Seven of Cups in reverse, you could be really doubting your path. Maybe you have a lot of like options, but you feel like you're not certain about the way to move forward, or maybe you have committed to something and you're not sure about it. Like there's some level of wavering here that happens with the Seven of Cups in reverse, either because you're afraid to commit to something or because you are just feeling like you're not sure. But this is coming from more of an intellectual level, and Venus in Gemini is intellectual. It is our mind, it's our logic. So there's something about our plan that could cause us anxiety and feel uncertain. And then the last hiccup that we could go through with the Knight of Swords and Page of Pentacles in reverse is that we could move really quickly towards a new beginning, to planting a seed, but then we could doubt that. We could feel like maybe I'm rushing this, like maybe I'm going too fast, maybe this is all happening too soon, maybe this is like not the right path, like am I rushing into the wrong thing? I don't know. Like those kinds of questions could also come up in terms of speed and just feeling like, is this actually going to take root? And the combination of those two energies. So those could be our fears right now. But we do have to keep in mind that this is the Nine of Swords. So these are cards that represent stress, but they're not actually representative of material reality being an issue. We actually have a lot going on here for us to move forward with confidence. We have a very stabilizing and positive energy at this new moon. Stabilizing, we do have Uranus conjunct it. So obviously there's some level of like instability, but the instability comes through innovation rather than like a negative outcome. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that we are meant to be moving forward in an exciting new way. I think we are meant to be grounding with this tree card, creating roots, creating a sense of community or connection with others, or maybe doing something that we've always wanted to do, somehow linked to our history and our past. Like there's something along those lines. But yeah, we might need to just approach some area of our life, the Taurus area of our life, through a new lens and build a foundation there. But in that process, because we're doing it from an entirely new kind of place, we could have some of these fears come up because it's so new and it's so fresh that action could instigate some of the uncertainty. And we're meant to move forward despite that and embrace this idea of the growth edge and embrace the idea of change and all the discomforts that I talked about. Spirit, is there any messages here? So the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. I think also equally important right now with the Ace of Pentacles in reverse is the question of where you want to remove your energy from. So in order to sustain a plant, you want to make sure that you're not crowding it out with too many other plants, right? Like you don't want a bunch of seeds to be grouped right in the same little indent in soil, because then they're going to be competing with each other for nutrients, for the sunlight, for water that you pour there, and only some of them will survive. Like only one of them will survive in a spot. So just think about what is your core focus. And it doesn't have to be a singular thing. I know I say that because Venus is in Gemini. So we could have multiple interests, or, we could have layers of interests that kind of feed into each other. But how can you maybe try to focus on one thing at a time, where one thing is a clear priority? Even if you do have multiple priorities, there has to be one thing that is clearly the priority. So they all can get done, but one gets the most attention, the most nutrients. So I think that's a really big thing, is like, what am I not going to do? What am I not going to prioritize? And getting clear around what that is. And that could be also uncomfortable as well, almost like giving that kind of commitment to something, but it's really important right now. What else, Spirit, is any other last messages? So we have the Seven of Wands in reverse. I feel like this is really speaking to this, and this keeps coming up and again, is to plant the seed, but also don't be fixated on a specific manifestation of this. Seven of Wands is often about like really fighting for what you believe in and standing up for yourself. But in reverse, it's like letting your guard down a little bit, letting in alternative perspectives and alternative ways of doing things. And going with this garden metaphor, I planted a garden a few years back, and it's really funny. I had like this one zucchini plant that looked basically dead when I bought it. There was only a couple left. And that was one of them. And then the other ones looked like they were doing amazing. So I planted them all, and I was like, okay, this half dead one or 70% dead one is gonna go, clearly. And the other ones look so good, they're gonna thrive. And so I planted all of them, and then at the end of the summer, all the ones that were so strong at the beginning were basically didn't produce anything and were really small and never really grew and didn't really become the biggest bearers of the zucchini. But it was the one that was half dead that became very, very, very strong. And I'm getting chills when I'm saying this. It grew massively. It was like, it surprised me. It surprised me. And so there's something about that where it's like, you might think that something is going to turn out in a specific way, or that this other thing in your life like isn't really that great, or like you're not giving it the full consideration or time of day. And because Uranus is conjunct this new moon, there is such a different way of looking at things that it's going to be like the thing that works out is going to be from an unexpected source. What makes something successful, it makes something bloom, is maybe going to catch you off guard, or is going to come from your adaptability and open-mindedness and your ability to pivot once you start something as well, or to just like take in other information into account, like other people's information or advice or whatever into account. So this is really to say, like, and this could speak to a lot of different areas of life again, but this is just to say, don't get stuck on it being from one specific plant that all of your fruit will manifest. You might actually find that it comes from the least suspecting of sources, and apply that to whatever area of life that pertains to for you. So yeah, I feel like that's the message that I want to give across here. Very, very exciting and potent time here in astrology. We're going to come up on a crazy summer. So we really want to root down and plant the seeds now, because I do think that it's not going to necessarily be the best time in the summertime. So yes, just I hope that you guys do listen to this. If there's something that you feel is blooming within you, that you're considering, that you're thinking about, to maybe take a chance on that now and not wait any longer. And if there is something like that in your life, let me know in the comments down below what that is. And also let me know in the comments down below what this kind of Uranus moving through Taurus has taught you to innovate or to change within the Taurus area of your chart or your life, and how you want to approach this area differently moving forward. Or up first, we have Aries rising and sun. So this Taurus new moon happening on May 16th is taking place in your second house. So I definitely see this new moon as giving us the opportunity to kind of rewrite some kind of story, especially around finances and potentially around your values, your self-worth, your ownership over something. Yeah, and just like really being able to maybe make money, or again, value yourself in a way that feels updated and aligned and authentic with where you are right now. We have recently had Uranus move out of Taurus for good, where it's spent the last 7-ish years. And I feel like you guys have been going through a process of looking at the things that you've been building, Knight of Pentacles, the things that have been very stable for you. That, yeah, like this could be, again, your finances, or maybe the things that like you do very consistently, or yeah, something about like your material world, or whatever it is that you have had that is very stable and like consistent in your life. That's the Knight of Pentacles. It could even be your approach to something, like I always have done it like this, and so I'll always do it like this kind of thing, or I work like this, or I make money like this, and there's something consistent about it that is something that is going through some kind of change. I feel like with the star in reversed, Uranus moving through your second, maybe it has like made you question some things. Maybe you previously thought, I'm going to make money like this, and I have these hopes and these dreams for my life. And maybe Uranus moving through the second kind of made you reevaluate some of your priorities. Maybe the things that you really hoped and wanted for yourself and the things that you became attached to, maybe you started to doubt those or question those and ask yourself, like, is this really important to me? Is this something that I really want to spend my time or my life doing? Maybe the ways that you, again, like held on to things, the things that you did for security, or just like the ways that you approached your life and the ways that maybe you made money or something. Maybe that's something that you've been really having a microscope, or that it was under a microscope in some way, especially if it didn't live up to certain expectations. Maybe there was like certain disillusionments or instability or things that happened in your life that made you actually question if that was how you wanted to live. Like, do I still want to go about it this way? Do I still want to try to be so conservative in my approach to something? Like if you were in a job that you did, for example, that was like to make money, but it didn't really resonate with you, like stuff like that could have made you could now be, I guess, questioning, or that could have been something that you've already been doing, is questioning, is this right for me? So what's the thing that is blooming and moving forward for my Aries? So we have the 10 of Wands in reverse. I feel like you guys are meant to be embracing a new and innovative way to approach your finances, or again, your like priorities in your life, in a way that feels like it flows, in a way that feels like it is easy and stable, but not like it's pushing a ball up a hill or a rock up a hill, for example. So if you've been making money or doing something that's been against your nature or out of sync with like your kind of natural cycles with life or your preferences or your personality, I could see you guys really wanting to align with exactly who you are. Like, oh, I used to make money like this and that kind of worked, but it felt difficult in some way. So now I'm going to switch it up and I'm going to do this thing that feels really me. And because of that, it's going to feel really easy and just flow. So that's, I think, part of what's blooming for you. So what is kind of new about their approach? We have the 5 of Wands in reverse. Yeah, I really feel like you're removing the idea of competition. So this could work on many levels. For one, it could work on the level of, if I am authentic to myself 100%, then I have no competition, because there isn't another thing or person like me. So if I do things in this way, then there is nobody that can compete with that. This could be also applicable to relationships and self-worth. Like maybe I valued other people and compare myself to other people, but now I'm not, because I see that we're all such unique individuals. The 5 Wands in reverse could also indicate where if you've had a lot of priorities and you've had a lot of things that you've wanted to accomplish, maybe those things were competing with one another and none of them really got the time of day. So this card can really speak to you centralizing like your priorities into one specific area, or just at least clarify to some degree what your main priority is, which is something that I already recommended in the overview. And so it's this idea of not having so much like attention competition, where you know where you're going to go next, where you know where you want to put your energy and focus, even if not every step is totally clear. There's a sense of trajectory and momentum, because you're not, diverting your energy into a million different areas. We do also have this Mars and Chiron conjunction Aries in the first house, which I do wonder like how that would affect you. So we have the Fool in reverse. Yeah, this might at times make you fearful around taking some kind of leap to make a new start or a fresh change. This could also involve like the shift in your own identity that this would require of you. So maybe you are going through an up-leveling and you have to embrace a sense of like confidence or independence, or like just a new aspect of the self. And maybe there's something about that could feel like scary or give you like some level of trepidation. But this Fool in reverse is saying to embrace this new beginning anyway, to feel the feelings and do it anyway. And then the last thing we have is Ace of Cups and then the Page of Cups in reverse and Six of Cups in reverse. I feel like you guys are ready to turn over some kind of new leaf. Again, this is like the new beginning in your life. I think maybe part of you is scared that it's somehow going to be like something that's happened before emotionally, like maybe something that impacted you emotionally in the past. So like, if I take this new leap, what if it ends up like that last time that I had that happen and we ended up fighting and getting into a breakup or what? I don't know. It's like, whatever that was, like, I feel like you just need to know that it's not that. This is a new energy with the Ace of Cups. It's going to turn out differently. You can take this leap. You can trust this new beginning. And luck is on your side right now. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Aries. I hope that resonates. If it does, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to also check out my membership, which I will link in the description box down below. I hope to see you there this weekend. And don't forget to like the video, comment on the video, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, I'm going to say Taurus rising and sun. This new moon is in your sign, Taurus, on May 16th, 2026, which is going to be in your first house if you're a Taurus rising, or wherever your sun is if you're a Taurus sun. So this is a really exciting new moon. I mean, it might not be perfect in every single way, but I really feel like this is such an exciting time because we're having a new moon in your sign with Uranus finally in Gemini, no longer in your sign, but it's still involved in this new moon because it is conjunct it. So we're getting kind of the best of both worlds here. We're not getting that same level of kind of volatility with Uranus. We're getting its ability to open us up, to be expansive, to be excited, and again, kind of malleable and adaptable to new things. But we're also growing out of whatever instability that we were previously in with Uranus in Taurus. You guys have been going through a period of instability these last 7 years around your identity. Maybe this was around your health or around your career if you had your sun in Taurus. Maybe you felt like things were kind of all over the place with the Two of Pentacles in reverse. Maybe you have felt like it's been really hard to keep up with your life. Like maybe things have been changing a lot and you've had a lot of competing priorities and you feel like you're dropping the ball at different points. Maybe you felt kind of frazzled or just, maybe just like not, I got the word incomplete. Like maybe things were incomplete. You didn't get to finish everything that you wanted to. Maybe you had a lot of open tabs. I also feel like this past cycle has been a lot about you embracing your creative side with the King of Wands, really owning your sense of like authority around your creative vision. It's been giving you guys a chance to hone in on what makes you special, what makes you unique, what great new ideas that you have, and lean into those. So you might have felt again like things, you had a lot of ideas potentially, maybe you were feeling very creative, very inspired, but also like a lot of things are moving and changing and it's hard to kind of root and grasp onto one of those things and see something through to completion. So maybe it's been a little bit of kind of chasing your tail in that way. And so now I feel like with this new moon in Taurus in your first house, I feel like you guys are here to build some kind of sustainability or like structure with this King of Pentacles. I think that you guys have done a lot of exploration of new tactics, of new methods, of different things that you want to try, different ideas that you have. Maybe some of them have taken root but just not fully like been fleshed out. So this is what I'm seeing with the King of Pentacles, is establishing like a legitimate structure or foundation or a routine or a building, like something that you're signing a long-term contract with, or you're making like a big change that is going to last you the test of time, or some kind of way to make money in the long term. There's some kind of like foundational, again, structure, entity, or business that you guys are creating with the King of Pentacles here that is going to take these last 7 years of ideas and exploration and trying things out creatively and apply them to a specific venture. And that venture could be financial because the ruler of this new moon, Venus, is in your second house. So it is something that is going to directly build you up in terms of your character, your sense of leadership, your identity, your sense of control over something, and seeing yourself as like the authority or owner over something. I definitely see that, you being the leader of it. But it could affect you financially. So there might be some kind of, again, ways to build your financial status up in some kind of capacity by playing off of what you've been learning these last, 7 years or so. So Spirit, what is different about this approach? We have The Knight of Pentacles, the Star in reversed. Those two cards already came out. Okay, so we have the Magician. I'm just going to shuffle because Aries got those two cards. So the Magician is somebody who's using all of their personal skills. With the Magician and the Ten of Cups, I feel like you guys have really gotten clear on what it is that you are innately gifted at. The Magician represents the ability to manifest and align according to your authentic nature. So I think that you guys are starting to really get, or have already really understood, what it is that you want with the Ten of Cups, what it is that makes you happy, what it is that makes you feel fulfilled, and what it is that you naturally have at your disposal within your capacity as a human being. So there's something about that you're going to be able to work with now in a more authentic way. So this is kind of like somebody knows what they have to offer the world. Somebody knows what makes them special, what makes them stand out. And I feel like you guys are going to build upon that in some really big way. Some of you guys could have some kind of changes to your relationships as a result of this. Like usually having some kind of new moon in the first can kind of reflect into the opposite house, which is the 7th house of partnerships. So maybe some of you guys are going to have some kind of like partnership influence here. People that reflect, like, you know yourself really deeply. So maybe you'll meet more people who are in alignment and reflect that nature back to you in a more authentic way this time, and build something of longevity within relationships as well. That's another area besides just like finances. Spirit, what else do we have here? We have the 7 of Wands in reverse. I feel like you guys also are in a phase of like really owning your like individuality without feeling like you have to defend it. A very natural, like, yeah, natural ownership. Like you're wearing a jacket, like the jacket fits you, you put it on, it's nice, it's cozy, but you don't feel like, why did that image come to me? I don't know, but there's something about it of like, it's not armor, it's a jacket, if that makes sense. So it's like, you're still wearing, I don't know why that image is coming to me, so I'm going to drop it. But something with this is like not having to feel like you're like defending something, that you can just be yourself completely, and that's it. Like I think that the idea is like finding the right fit, finding where you fit, and finding the people that fit with you, rather than trying to, I think this is what the jacket thing was saying, like rather than trying to like fit into something that doesn't work and like contort yourself and prove yourself. I don't feel like that's part of what you're doing anymore. I think you've graduated from that, and now you're like, this is who I am. Let me make and design my life to fit around me rather than the other way around. So Spirit, what is this Mars Chiron in the 12th? Because we do have the ruler of this new moon, Venus, in a sextile with Mars and Chiron in Aries. So we have the Ace of Wands. I think that you guys are going to have a lot of creative inspiration right now. You're going to be getting these kind of divine downloads and things to act upon, and it's going to feel very purposeful. We also have the Ace of Swords. Yeah, exactly. Same message here. I think that you guys are going to get a lot of intuitive downloads, and you guys really need to listen right now. Any last messages here? So we have the Queen of Wands in reverse in the World. I feel like you guys need to know that some kind of cycle is closing out where you didn't have the confidence to fully embrace all aspects of yourself. Again, this is kind of what we talked about already, but Queen of Wands is also somebody who is very like in their essence of their sex appeal, their magnetism, their creativity, their intuition, and like owning who they are. I think that if there's been anything like that you felt disconnected from or disempowered around, I feel like that is part of what is like healing with this World card. You're ending some kind of cycle around that. So if you've in the past had any issues connecting to that confidence or that creativity or that like authority within yourself around something in your life, I feel like that's gone or is coming to a close as a result of Uranus moving into Gemini. So that's what I see for you, Taurus. This is a really exciting new chapter for you, and I can't wait to see what you bring about into the world with it. And I wanted to mention, if you enjoyed this, please do check out my membership, which I will link in my description box down below. Don't forget to also like the video, subscribe, comment down below, share with your friends, and have a nice day. Bye. All right, next I have Gemini, rising, and sun. So this Taurus new moon happening on May 16th, 2026 is taking place in your 12th house. And I've been saying to everyone, this is such an exciting time. I really, really am stoked about this new beginning for us. Even in your 12th, I really feel like it gives us such a jump start right now to this astrological new year, which started in Aries season. And this new moon especially has this kind of feeling of like a spark plug because of Uranus being conjunct this new moon. And your planetary ruler, Mercury, is also near this new moon as well and near Uranus. And the ruler of the new moon, which is Venus, is in your sign in Gemini. So this is quite substantial for you as well. Again, even though it's in your 12th, I really feel like this is something that is going to be more externally evident than other new moons in the 12th typically are, because usually new moons in the 12th can be feeling like you're healing something behind the scenes or having maybe this new spiritual or emotional insight. This to you feels, again, more substantial. And I got the Eight of Pentacles, so there could be something here around really like developing some kind of skill. And I feel like, again, there is this interesting mix here between 12th and first house themes of what is hidden as being known, or what is like an innate skill from maybe a past life is like coming to the surface now, or something that you've always like really thought about is somehow manifesting into the material world. So coming from the dream to the real world. Maybe you even get a dream, like a kind of predictive dream, premonition type of thing. What are those called? Let me know in the comments below. Yeah, there's something like that where it's like some kind of skill of yours. And you can even see that here. It kind of looks almost like this bird. I don't know. He might be kind of hiding or disclosing whatever his pentacle is. So there's something about this where I feel like you guys are maybe building something behind the scenes that is now coming to light, or working on something in yourself that is now becoming apparent. Like, oh, I've been working on my weight loss and then it's becoming obvious. Or I've been working on healing myself and now it is manifesting as like increased like physical beauty or something like that, that is materially showing up in your life. Yeah, it feels very exciting. We have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. I think for a lot of people, we're getting this energy of like, what is it that we are not trying to hold on to as much anymore? It almost feels like releasing the dead weight around something, especially around this idea of holding on and clinging on to the things of the past. There could also be this feeling of like, I really need this to feel stable, or I hold on to this past event or this past pain or this relationship or these even physical belongings from the past. I'm holding on to them because I want to maybe find some stability, or like, yeah, just something from it. Like it was doing something for you, but I feel like now you're letting it go, or you're not really needing it as you move forward. It's almost like a kid who doesn't need their blanket anymore or their pacifier. They were really emotionally attached to like a physical object or something that was part of their childhood self. And then they kind of start to grow up and they're like, maybe I don't need that thing anymore. So it's almost like some kind of foundation that we could have built ourselves on, you know, or a place that you used to live or something that you used to own. Like something about it is being released. And yeah, we have the Fool card. So you're able to step into a new beginning because you're able to no longer stay attached to a previous like foundation or reality. But I also think that the past is coming in to serve you with the Eight of Pentacles. Again, I feel like there may be something here around like a past life or a past like skill sets or something that you've really developed over time in your past that you are now like coming to fruition with at this point in time. So it's like you're not only letting go of attachments, unnecessary attachments that you've outgrown from the past, but you're also taking the things that did work from the past and allowing that to like ripen and mature and develop into something useful and external to you that is going to manifest outside of you. So I'm having a hard time coming up with examples. I hope I hope that's helpful for you. Page of Cups and Temperance. Yeah, I think that like a lot of, so Uranus has been moving through Taurus for these past 7 years, but now it's finally in your first house. So there's a lot of this kind of like internal, you know, behind the scenes work that you've been doing on yourself to heal yourself emotionally. Maybe you've kind of gone through a lot emotionally. Maybe you've gone through a lot of ups and downs, or maybe you've had a lot of kind of transitions over these past 7 years. Maybe you've had a lot of things that you've had to let go of, or you haven't had control over it, or there's been a lot of unknowns and uncertainties in your life that you've been navigating, and spiritual awakenings that you've been going through, and just like enlightenments, basically. I feel like you've been going through that a lot along the way these last 7 years. And now with Uranus born into your first house again, you know, having the light of the ascendant coming through where the sun rises, we're having this feeling of like an emotional rebirth And I just really feel like it's this new beginning for you guys, this feeling of clarity, of renewal, emotional renewal, feeling maybe more even tempered. You know, if you've particularly felt like kind of this way and that way emotionally, or thrown about by the turbulence of life, like I'm kind of getting this sense of you guys maybe feeling like life starts to kind of become a little bit more even. And not that I don't know if I should say that, because Uranus moving into your sign inherently makes things unstable on a material level. Like, it brings about a lot of change, but I feel like there's something even worse about having Uranus in the 12th house, because it's almost like the very soul is going through this kind of tempestuous storm versus like things just changing in your life. There's a depth to having Uranus in the 12th. There's a depth to the change and the loss that you go through that strikes to the heart of your soul and really can be hard to manage because of that. Like, it's not surface level material change. It is something profound that can cause existential crises and all these things. But now that Uranus is born into your first, I feel like you guys are still going through change, but there's this sense of like inner calm and resolve, this ability to maybe stay connected to yourself in a way that maybe you couldn't previously before. I think you've just learned a lot around how to navigate big changes and big loss and big moments of uncertainty and almost like, I don't know, the word devotion came to me. So yeah, I just think you guys have been learning a lot around that. And also 4 swords. Yeah, so there's something here about like finally having a chance to rest. Like, your soul is getting a chance to rest. I feel like you need to know that there's something in your life that maybe has felt, again, very tumultuous, and now you're finally getting a chance to like recover from that. And that doesn't mean that your world doesn't change. That's what I think you need to know. Your world will still change, but there's something here about the 4 swords being, I don't know, there's something about the change that is going to support your recovery and not challenge it. Like, you're going to be able to glide through it in a way that you're centered and more certain of who you are. And yeah, so there's something about this where I feel like, yeah. And this could also speak to you guys maybe recovering a little bit at this new moon as well, because often new moons do speak to healing, especially in the 12th. What is starting for them? What's this new beginning for my Geminis? So we have the 4 of Cups in reverse. Yeah, I feel like you guys, if you've been in this period of recovery, the sense that I'm getting is that you're actually like going through the renewal, where now you are kind of like less frozen and you're thawing and you're coming out into the world again. That's the energy that I'm getting from this new moon, is more so like I'm coming back to life. I'm caring about things more. I'm getting my spark back. I'm having new ideas about stuff I'm excited about. Maybe I'm trying to socialize more. Maybe I'm trying to start something new or take a chance on something in my life that feels, yeah, especially like socialization with Venus in your first and Gemini, and then also sextiling Mars and Chiron in the 11th. Maybe you're kind of thawing your heart around relationships, and that's something that you've been uncertain about, and maybe you've gone through a lot of changes around, and maybe there's some insecurity there still, but like you're kind of slowly coming back online or back to life. Like, I see that for you guys. But that could also pertain to a lot of things. It doesn't just have to be socially, but I think for a lot of you it will be social or like community based. So Spirit, what is it that they're approaching in a new way? We have the 7 of Swords. I feel like you guys are no longer going to be deceived by other people. Though we do have Neptune passing through your 11th, so maybe I shouldn't say that. But I don't know. 7 of Swords is somebody who is like very, and the 8 of Wands in reverse. I don't know. I feel like 7 of Swords is somebody who understands that people can be deceptive. So maybe it's just like you're more self-aware as well. Like, you are understanding if you are like sabotaging or in like a cycle with the 8 of Wands in reverse that is going to kind of lead to your downfall. Because that's the 12th house. The 12th house is self-sabotage. 12th house is like being involved in people and relationships or dynamics or anything that is inherently harmful to you or like leading you astray in some capacity. I feel like you guys are no longer going to be in that kind of situation. I don't know if I can say for sure with Neptune in your 11th that you'll never be deceived by anyone again, but I think that with these cards, you at least are not deceiving yourself or like sabotaging yourself by engaging in the wrong kinds of relationships. Like I really feel like you're having the power of choice and clarity around like who are the right people to engage with. You know, if they are who they say they are, right? If they're I don't know, it's like you're attracting and you're choosing the people who are presenting themselves in the right way, if that makes sense, versus like people who you kind of maybe knew are not the best, or maybe there was certain mismatches and you overlooked it, but it was like there were clear signs. Yeah. So not self-sabotaging with relationships that have no momentum, no energy, no whatever. What area of life could this also relate to? Oh. So we have the Ten of Swords in reverse and Ace of Wands. So this could also just be, again, this getting your spark back for life. Like, and this could be in anything. It doesn't have to be relationships. But like Ten of Swords in reverse is something that you've had a hard time moving on from in the past. I really feel like you're getting your spark back. You're feeling like you're moving on from something. You're feeling like you're letting something go. You're progressing forward. Even you might still feel tender around it. I see you taking an action that is going to push yourself out there or take some step forward in some way that is going to, again, challenge this previous feeling of like, I'm not over it or whatever this is. So if you've been through a loss, if you've been through certain pains, like I see you really not allowing yourself to sit in that. I see you moving forward despite that and being able to turn over that new leaf. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Gemini. I hope that that's helpful. I am starting a membership, so if you guys want to join and be a part of that, check that out in my description box down below. If you're interested in tracking transits and the new moon cycle for yourself, or just coming along to, you know, new moon circles. Don't forget to also give me a like and subscribe, comment down below, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have Cancer rising and sun. This Taurus new moon on May 16th is taking place in your 11th house. So there is some kind of new beginning here that wants to happen in the area of community for you. And this is an exciting time because we have had Uranus moving through Taurus for the last 7 years or so, which has been in your 11th house. And so you might have felt like this idea of belonging or community or friendship, or even like your future and your sense of direction in certain ways, has felt maybe a little unstable, a little bit rocky, a little bit uncertain at times. And so now this new moon is trying to help you create a new sense of rootedness in this area of your life by building off of what you have learned over these last 7 years and what you've learned does or doesn't work. So if you've had instability in your friendships, for example, you know, what is it about those relationships that didn't work for you? So having this, again, having this new moon in the 11th is saying, what's up next for you? And yeah, I think, okay, interesting here too. Two of Cups in reverse. It's like, what relationships don't work? What is your mismatch of energy? Being able to define that, I think, is really important. And also with this Queen of Swords, being able to have this kind of boundaried energy of, this is a no for me. This is a yes for me. I'm able to cut off or, you know, move certain things around in order to align with the right kind of energies. And I also am able to understand with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse, what relationships feel like they don't nourish me. The Queen of Pentacles upright is usually somebody who knows how to take care of themselves. Maybe they get their massages, or they work out and they save their money and they take care of their home. And it's like there's overall like holistic mindset around taking care of their whole life. When it's in reverse, there's something about this where relationships may have felt like they have come at a cost, like they have made you choose them or yourself. Maybe you left feeling drained after certain people hung out with you, for example. But with with Jupiter in your sign, Cancer, you are in this period of being able to grow your own capacity, grow your ability to reach for more in life. You are maybe able to attract more relationships. That's sometimes possible as well with Jupiter in your sign. And so you are able to magnetize opportunities and growth, like expansion opportunities in general. And if people don't nourish you and people don't fit that, they're going to take away from the expansion. They're going to feel like a contractor in your life. And I think that is going to be very obvious at this new moon. And you're going to start to, I think this is just what you've already learned. I think what you've learned is the people who contract you, the people who don't give back, and that somehow take away from your life journey and in your growth mindset. So if you've been feeling optimistic about stuff, but then you hang out around someone and then you feel bad, that's a good sign that that's not the right person. And so many of you are going to be wrapping up a cycle like that. And you're going to start to attract new relationships where you are aware, again, of the people who are contractors or who are somehow misaligned, who have maybe different motivations than you, or different like soul makeups, or different, yeah, just like different soul makeups that I think is not really a personal thing. It's just, you know, the fabric that you're cut from is just very different and maybe not compatible. And so I think that you're going to start to become really aware of that, or I think you've already become really aware of that again. But if that is still in your life, I think you will become aware of that. The ruler of this new moon, Venus, is in Gemini in your 12th house. So it could be that there are still some like lingering elements of this where you're still kind of closing out certain chapters in this regard. Maybe there are still emotional ties to certain people, for example, or like you haven't fully cut certain things off, but you've learned a lot about it. So there might be a little bit of that left over because of that Venus in the 12th. So just kind of keeping that in mind. But I also feel like you guys are, I don't know, I feel like you guys are maybe going to be able to find some kind of new community that aligns with you on a more spiritual level, on a soul level, like I was talking about, like a soul family, a soul match. And because Venus is in the 12th, it will help you really recognize when there is that soul match. And this Venus is sextiling Mars and Chiron in the 10th. So I also think that you can find that soul match through kind of your life purpose and like your career or your like life trajectory and direction and mission. You might be able to start finding that soul family through those choices. Even if it's not career specifically, if it's something that you've always wanted to do, like I've always wanted to be a mom, for example, then maybe you're a mom, you go out and to become a mom, and then you join mom groups, and then you find other people who match with your soul better, who are in that similar field. Or maybe you do yoga, or I don't know, I'm just saying things, but I think you guys know what I mean, like finding like-minded people by you following what you want to do in your life course and aligning with other souls who are like, yeah, I'd like that too. And I am starting a membership that's actually launching this weekend with people who are interested in the new and full moons, who want to do new and full moon circles and have community in that way. So that might actually fit you guys quite well if you're interested in transits and astrology and whatnot. So, okay, we have the Page of Swords in reverse. So I feel like this is what you're doing differently. I think actually part of what, this is interesting. I feel like Page of Swords upright is somebody who is like a learner. They're very open-minded. You know, they're taking in all this new information. I almost feel like there's some message here around getting out. Like part of what you're doing differently is, this is kind of going against the other messages I was saying, but there's something about this parrot that feels like getting caught up in gossip and like what everybody is saying and doing and falling in line with the crowd and being so open-minded that you're just like taking everybody's ideas into your own. There's something about that I feel like if any of that applies to you in any way, I really think that you're going your own way in some respect. And this could be Uranus moving into Gemini in your 12th. There could be some element of like, I'm breaking off from the path. I'm going against what other people have been doing or what I've been, you know, like this kind of collective narrative. I'm somehow not like, I'm not just like listening to what everybody else is saying. I'm having my own opinions. I'm having my own ways of approaching things. Yeah, just somehow breaking off from the path. And I just had this memory come from when I was a kid where we were super young and we went to the beach and everybody was on this lower part of the beach and they're all like looking for shells with a teacher. And for whatever reason, I went off and onto my own path and I went up this like little kind of sand bank that was like higher. And I found this huge conch shell, I think it's called, the one that you can like blow in or hear the ocean in. And it was fully intact, which is really rare because I'm from Florida and I haven't seen a ton of those. So I was able to find that by going off my own way. So there's something about that where you guys will kind of break off from the herd and you will find something that is really a gift for yourself by being able to do this, do something your own way. That's what I feel like is happening at this new moon in particular, what you're doing differently. We also have the 5 of Pentacles, the 7 of Pentacles, and the 8 of Wands in reverse. I also feel like you guys are really recognizing by breaking off from the path, I feel like you're really recognizing what doesn't have like potential like scope of longevity. So you're kind of, this is very 11th house and very Uranian, which is, again, this new moon is a lot about that, with Uranus conjunct the new moon 11th. So I feel like you guys are getting this like understanding, this download of what is going to be relevant in the future. Something intuitive is telling you guys that this path or whatever is not going to be relevant in the future with the Five of Pentacles. Maybe there's something with AI where you kind of know in your heart that if I keep going down this path that everyone else is going down, that I'm going to become redundant or irrelevant because of technology, or maybe it's just a gut feeling that it's not going to be, you know, the right way to go about things later. So I feel like you guys are really understanding moving forward intuitively what you need, where you need to put energy into. And this could involve relationships, this could involve technology, or just like career path. This could be in any facet. But I think that you guys are understanding what has capacity to fall and what has capacity to thrive and to fly. So what is the new seed being planted for them? Like, what's the blessing for my Cancers? So we have the Three of Pentacles. So yeah, I feel like you guys are really learning how to create some kind of new community for yourselves. Maybe you're going to be working with people in a new way, or maybe you're going to be leaving certain work relationships where you have been incompatible. So I think it could be both for you guys. It just depends on if you want more. It depends on what makes sense for you right now. Like if you're hearing this and you're like, oh, the last thing I want to do is work with people, then this could be about breaking the work relationship and having some independence, again, breaking away from the crowd. And some other people, it's going to be about building that community, building that network, essentially, and collaborating with others. That's going to make the most sense for you at this new moon. Any last messages for Cancer? So we have Queen of Wands in reverse, Seven of Wands in reverse. So you guys at times with this Chiron and Mars and Aries in your 10th, you at times might feel like you waver in your confidence around what it is that you really believe. I mean, this could also be related to the North Node moving through your 9th house. We're about to close that cycle out at the end of June, or I think it's in the middle of July, but this summer we're going to close out the North Node in your 9th and it's going to move into your 8th. So there might be a little bit more like tests of your faith and around your confidence between now and then. Maybe you are launching something like I'm launching my membership, or maybe you're starting something new with community or friends or something like that, and it's kind of like a bit of a wobbliness, like it's not fully immediately taking root. And this is a lot of what, you know, planting seeds does. You don't see the roots and everything growing. You don't see any of that until it actually pops above the soil. So there's some degree of having uncertainty if something is going to work, or if this is really your thing, or if it's going to manifest and you should keep believing in it. There's going to be some trials of faith until you see the evidence, which will happen probably like late July, for example. So just know that if you have some wobbliness between now and then and you don't see the fruits of the labor yet, or the evidence that something is working, to not give up, to hold your faith, to sustain the effort. Because Mars and Chiron in the 10th house can really speak to that, needing to sustain the effort even when you lack confidence and feel uncertain at times. So that's what I see for you, Cancer. I hope that that resonates. Please do check out my membership if you're interested in joining a community of other people interested in astrology and working with the moon and tracking your transits. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, comment down below, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, next we have Leo rising and sun. This Taurus new moon happening on May 16th is taking place in your 10th house. And this is a really exciting time, you guys, because we're finally having Uranus out of Taurus and a new moon is happening in the sign of Taurus, again, without Uranus in the sign with it. It is still conjunct this new moon, but I see this in a much more positive light, whereas before these past 7 years, I feel like we've just been going through a lot of ups and downs and volatility and change. And for you, this has been in your career, in the area of public recognition, in the spotlight, and your reputation. You might have felt like there's been just a lot of ups and downs that you've been going through in this area, and just maybe not feeling totally even sure what your path is, or if it's going to work out, or, you know, if you've gotten the recognition that you deserve. Maybe that's something with the Six of Wands in reverse and Nine of Swords. maybe something you've got anxiety about. It's like, I never really get the praise I want. I never really get the recognition I want. I never really get the success I want. Or maybe I don't really understand even where I'm going or what I want out of life. And I feel like that's something that you guys have graduated from as a result of Uranus moving into Gemini to stay. And so this new moon is a lot about kind of planting the seeds for our bloom that involves us applying all the lessons of what we previously learned. So maybe you guys have learned to be less stressed about the kind of fluctuations of career, or less stressed about things appearing a certain way with the Six of Wands in reverse. I don't know. It's almost like maybe you have grown in inner confidence, because sometimes this is a Leo thing of not feeling like you have to necessarily prove something to the world, or prove something to yourself even, or have things like look a certain way for the world for you to believe in yourself. I don't know. It's almost like a quiet confidence maybe that you have graduated with as a result of being able to detach from the fluctuations of other people's opinion and worldly success. It's like you found maybe more rooted confidence with your own, following your own desires and seeing how that plays out. We have the Death in reverse. Yeah, I feel like you guys have, I don't know, the Death in reverse can represent like a kind of not wanting to make certain transitions. Maybe there have been things in your life as well in regards to like your life path, not just career, but like life path in general, where you have maybe held on a little bit tight. Maybe you've resisted certain changes that you needed to make, maybe seeing certain things through new eyes that you have, again, resisted. And so I feel like part of what Uranus in the 10th has taught you, that you again have finally like fully grasped, is the need to make change, the need to embrace new path, a new way forward, or something that you hadn't considered before, where you maybe were a little bit stubborn before, where you're recognizing like the power of adaptability, the power of shifting your beliefs about something, or shifting your trajectory of something. So that's what these past 7 years have really been about, is about kind of detaching from maybe worldly accolades and like admiration from others in success, and detaching also from like a stubbornness around it has to be done this way as well. And instead opening up to like where life wants to take you, where your soul wants to take you. And this new moon is an opportunity for you to create more of that abundance. With the Queen of Swords and the Three of Pentacles in particular, a great way to do this is in some kind of community. And I see this because the ruler of this new moon is Venus, which is in your 11th house in Gemini. So a great way for you guys to be building up these kind of next steps in your life trajectory, in your career, is by collaborating and working with others. With the Queen of Swords, though, I think it's important that you still maintain maybe some vision of your own, or some clear boundaries, or having really clear communication around your wants, your needs, and how things should be done. But I'm getting the sense that there is some kind of community and like a learning experience that can be had with other people as well. So this kind of new trajectory for your career or your life path is meant to tie in other people. And this new moon is asking you to be open-minded to the perspectives of others, but also have clear boundaries around what it is that you don't want changed. Like not everything should be open. Like you don't want everything, right? Like to be influenced by others, but we need some degree of influence by others. Otherwise we become a closed system, which is unhealthy as well. But if everything is too open, then we have no boundaries to protect what is the core message or the core truth of ourselves. So it's a balance of both of them that you're going to be navigating at this new moon. What else do we have? We have the Ace of Pentacles in reverse and the Temperance. I also think that you guys are learning to heal and move on from the things that haven't worked out. If you've planted seeds or had certain ideas in the past that like didn't really take root, I feel like you guys are walking away from them, and you're no longer trying to like force something to work in a specific way. I feel like you guys are willing to pivot, you're willing to adjust, you're willing to try something new. Yeah, just have a new perspective and not try to keep planting the same seed in the same spot and being like, why isn't it growing here? Like the soil just isn't nutrient there. So maybe pivot in a way and plant somewhere else, and you'll find that that's quite healing for you as well. What's new coming in for my Leos at this new moon here? So we have the Queen of Wands, and we have these cards keep coming out for everyone. What's going on? The World and the Five of Cups. So the Queen of Wands in reverse, the World and the Five of Cups. I feel like this is not what's new. I feel like this is well, it is what's new, but it's also from the past. So I feel like you guys have maybe, this kind of speaks to the same things. I feel like you guys have been really disappointed by things, like disillusioned by failures or things that haven't lived up to the expectation. We got that Six of Wands in reverse. Like maybe you felt like you failed at something, or things that you've tried to make work in the past. This could even be relationally or just in anything. Maybe it's just this focus on like the failures, or focus on the things that have disappointed you, or the lack of confidence to get something off the ground, or maybe you've had a lack of confidence from certain things not manifesting. I'm really getting that sense of like the ego and the, you know, feeling like it's all wrapped up in this, and like, oh, I have to produce this result, and if I don't, then I'm weak, or whatever the thought is about yourself. And with the World card, I feel like that's the cycle that's ending. So this new moon is really about gaining a lot of self-confidence from just like from within. And I think that's something you've been already working on. So what's the new thing? I think the new thing is that, again, you're kind of detached from that like needing to prove yourself because of those past mistakes. Like I think you've healed that, you've released that, you've let that go, and now you're building up something with community and coming from a much cleaner energetic place because of that. And so we have the Four of Wands in reverse. We have the Ten of Swords, the Page of Swords, and the Three of Cups. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I just feel like you guys are, with the Page of Swords and Three of Cups, like you're finding a way to celebrate the things that are working, and you're leaning into that more, and you're getting excited about that to like learn about what's working, and not being so like disillusioned by the things that weren't. I think that you're willing to, with the Four of Wands in reverse, I feel like, I don't know, maybe there were certain things that you were kind of doing out of comfort, or doing because other people wanted you to do it, but it didn't really resonate with you as an individual. I think you're leaving a lot of that behind. You're ending that, and you're looking at more of like what fills your heart, what brings you joy, but also like what's working, and you're adapting and working with that energy rather than trying to like live up to certain societal expectations. That's really what I'm seeing here. So that's what I see for you, Leo. If you want to join my astrology membership, I am launching one this weekend down below if you can find the information. But if you're wanting to kind of have some accountability and support for these new and full moons, or to understand your transits, and definitely check that out down below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, comment, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, I'm going to have Virgo rising and sun. So for you guys, this Taurus new moon happening on May 16th is taking place in your 9th house. And I really am excited about this new moon, you guys, for so many different reasons. First of all, I'm launching my astrology membership, so I'm excited about that. But also I'm just excited about the fact that this new moon, I feel like, is a time where we're going to have some kind of like renewed hope. And I really think that that's even more evident for you because it's taking place in your 9th house of faith and belief and spirituality as well. So there's something about this new moon that I think is going to reinvigorate you guys a lot. And ultimately, we are coming out of a cycle where Uranus has been moving through Taurus for the last 7 or so years, which has been in your 9th house. You've probably had a lot of things challenge you in these 9th house topics. Maybe you've had a lot of changes within like if you've lived abroad, for example, more than once, or if you've studied a bunch, or if you have taught a lot, or if you've had really major changes in your beliefs about life or religion or existentialism or anything like that, Uranus moving through here can bring a lot of changes in just the way that you think about life and in those areas in particular that I just mentioned. So this new moon is a lot about creating some kind of roots that is going to be coming as a result or on the back of basically all those fluctuations that we've gone through these last 7 years. So what is it that you've learned from that? And how can you apply that to this new beginning in your life? And this could also very much have to do with your career and like your life trajectory, because Venus, the ruler of this new moon, is in Gemini in your 10th house. So this whole idea of faith and belief and perspective and foreign affairs, that could all be applied to your, and teaching and learning and all that, it could all be applied to your career. So maybe you've changed your degree a few times and you weren't sure where to focus your energy. Or maybe you've had ups and downs within your career that has made you doubt certain things about where you're going in your life. And this isn't just career, it's life path, it's life direction, it's goals, it's ambition. So there's something about this has been, again, going through a lot of fluctuations for you. And now we're meant to be coming out of the other side and rooting into a new type of faith and hope, and also allowing ourselves to adapt and pivot, especially now in your career. So it's not that things are never going to change now, but it's that the changes that we're making now are coming from a place of having really strong conviction and like moral certainty, or we have a new path that we understand, like why it is that we do what we do in our life, why we're making certain choices, what it is that we really believe and stand behind. And those things previously could have been fluctuating and challenged in these previous 7 years. So now we kind of know this is what I'm rooting into. I might change my career. I might change the vehicle in which this is expressed, but I know why I'm doing something. I know what my beliefs are behind something. So I hope that that makes sense for you. So Spirit, what is it that we have kind of left behind or like innovated from or learned from? We have the Seven of Pentacles. I say we because I am, of course, a Virgo rising. So Seven of Pentacles, the Devil, and the Two Wands. Yeah, I feel like you guys, there may be, and sometimes this could be, you know, with Taurus in the ninth, this makes a lot of sense too. But it could feel sometimes like almost this preference towards stability, towards consistency. I have to have a plan. I have to know where things are going. I want to be consistent with something. I want to root down into something. I feel like that has maybe been the prerogative, but almost from a place of fear. And maybe even for some of my Virgos, this could have been the opposite, where there was like a difficulty seeing in the future or difficulty having a plan and stress around that. So it could be either way, where you felt like kind of hemmed in by something, like it's got to work this way in this linear fashion, and I've got to dedicate this much time and build this up, and it's going to take a really long time, and I got to make sure I do everything right and by the book. I feel like you realize with Uranus moving through the ninth house that there is no universal book. You kind of make your own path in life. You make your own meaning, your own future. And the way of going about things, like the way that something has to be approached, is individual. And I think that that's something you've been learning. And you previously were operating under a limiting belief that it had to look a specific way. And then if you weren't along that trajectory and you were missing certain deadlines, or things didn't look the same way as other people or something like that in comparison, it could have been really stressful for you, and it could have made you feel like you were failing, when actually that was how you were meant to go about it, because you're an individual. So this is a lot of what Uranus in the ninth house has been teaching you around your beliefs, is not necessarily having a specific belief that things have to look a certain way. The Hermit, I feel like you've been going internally and doing a lot of like reflection on yourself to become aware of who you are as a unique person and what your soul path is, and that it's really a disservice to force yourself to look like other souls and their paths and their timelines and trajectories, and to feel like you're failing compared to that, because you're such a unique soul. And it's like you came down here for your unique experience, and to feel like, oh, I'm not measuring up, it's kind of irrational, right? It's like the whole point was to have your unique experience. So I think that's something that you've learned as Uranus has moved through the ninth house. So this new moon is about allowing you to now root into what is that individual experience for you. Like, what should your path look like, and your path forward, especially when in regards to career, life goals, like how should that match your nature and your timeline and your energy in the most authentic and like breathable kind of way. It's like, oh, I can easily achieve that because that is life designed for me as a person and my own plan. So what else, Spirit, is like blooming or building or being planted at the time of this new moon? I will say though, like there might be times where we still feel insecurity because of Chiron and Mars being in the 8th and sextiling this Venus in the 10th. We could still sometimes feel like we compare ourselves, or we're fearful, or we're uncertain about certain skills that we have, and maybe we doubt if it's going to be able to materialize us or help us get forward in life, basically. So we still might have moments where we doubt that we can pursue this very individualized path, but that's what I think that we are doing, and we're moving forward anyway. And with the Hierophant in reverse, this is a lot about breaking with tradition. This is exactly what I was saying. There used to be like, you got to go to school, and then you got to go to have, get your job, and you have 2.5 kids. It's like this kind of trajectory in life that I think you realize wasn't for you. And with the Six of Swords, now I feel like you're recognizing that you can actually move a lot smoother through life, and things can feel fast and easy and flowing if you're able to embrace this idea of like your individual like sense of movement and pace, as well as like the idea of things being in transition. So there might be something here around like not having to always hit these milestones, like getting more comfortable in periods of transition where you're not exactly at one marker or the next. Also with the Six of Swords, again, that movement and flow that comes from being in alignment. So I'm in my purpose. I am not trying to force myself to go faster or slower. Like I'm able to kind of move with the energy of this specific time period and flow and recognize what that time period is. So it's a lot about like attuning to your own nature and understanding how to work with your own energy, your own capacity, what's going on at that time of your life, that cycle of your life, and realizing that that is such an individualized experience. That is what this new moon is helping you build your life around, rather than you trying to fit into other people's timelines. What else is this new moon on a maybe more obvious, like external level, Spirit? What is this new moon bringing in? We have the Knight of Cups in reverse. I think that you're no longer going through periods of like idealizing other people or situations or other ways of living. I almost feel like you guys are grounding more into like a real world experience of living your life. Like, what does it look like to be you? Maybe you go through periods of like, for example, like a week before my period, every single month, I get really depressed and I like hate my life. That is part of my energetic like hormonal experience. It's almost like instead of trying to be that girl that like they post on YouTube, which again, this has been the South Node moving through Virgo, has been less about trying to be the perfect idealized version of yourself and more about just being like who you really are and not trying to like always fix yourself and perfect yourself. And that's what I feel like you're getting over with the Knight of Cups in reverse. You're not trying to be this idealized perfect version. You're understanding that you might have these lows in the month. You might have these mood swings. You might have moments where you are, I don't know, like not on top of your game, but how do you work with that and build that in? Maybe a week before my period, I have a therapy session, or I go to yoga, or do a lot more self-care, and I try to work with and support my nature instead of berating myself for feeling that way. It's like I'm learning myself, I'm attuning to myself and doing what I need to do for my individualized self, so that with that Knight of Cups, I'm not feeling like I'm never measuring up and to this perfect ideal of myself that is not realistic. We have the Emperor. Oh my God, I got chills. The Emperor, this really speaks to this Venus in the 10th ruling this new moon. This is about somebody who is on their game. They are disciplined, they are structured, they have a routine, they're regimented in certain ways. And I feel like you are finding a way to be this badass person in charge of your life without being like too cut and dry that it has to look a particular way that society says. So you're finding your own way with the Emperor of being this kind of disciplined, consistent person. And again, in a way that supports you. Yeah, supports you individually. Okay. Oops. Okay, so yeah, I think that the last thing I'll say here, because that call just went off, is that there's something here around maybe answering some kind of calling. So if there is something that you feel pulled to right now, this is your chance to really listen to that and open your mind to being able to do this in your own specific way, and not feeling like the pressure of it has to look like this or meet certain standards or timelines or something, but embrace like maybe a new step in your path, that is just for you or done in a way that feels like malleable and specific to you. Okay, since I'm a Virgo rising and I kind of want to give back to you guys, let me pull one last oracle card around your path. One last oracle card, Spirit. So we have the Snake, 29. The Spirit of Transformation. Oh my gosh. This is exactly what we're talking about. The Spirit of the Snake arrives with the eclipse to remind you that the opportunity for transformation is always at your will. If you've been feeling uncomfortable, it's because the universe is pushing you in a different direction. And even though change is scary, it's perhaps one of the most beautiful gifts life has to offer. The impermanence of life is not a tragedy, but a wonder. As you awaken and uncover your true self, you'll notice you make some people uncomfortable. Some might call you weird or out of touch, but don't worry. You're simply breaking off from what you were told to be and becoming who you want to be. Absolutely. Not everyone will align with a new version of you, and that's okay. You're not for everybody. The important thing is that you stay true to yourself, so the right people and projects come into your life. Follow your heart and your calling of spirit, and everything will align. In balance, it's about being authentic, accepting change, and finding inner peace and awakening and aligning. And when you're out of balance, you're struggling with change, resisting, feeling disoriented, and being fake. That I feel like is really in alignment with this new moon in general because of the conjunction with Uranus. And yeah, I think that this is really going to attract the right people and circumstances to you when you embrace who you're meant to be and your own timeline in life. So that's what I see for you, Virgo. If you want to join my membership, I will have a link down below. I am launching that this weekend. We're going to have our new moon ceremony, and we'll also be tracking some transits this month. So if you're interested, definitely check that out down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, I'm next to Libra, rising, and sun. So for you guys, this Taurus new moon happening on May 16th is taking place in your 8th house. And I feel like this is going to be a relief for you guys in some kind of way with Uranus moving through your 8th house these last 7 years. You guys have been going through a cycle of almost like an emotional purge. Maybe you've challenged yourself in different ways, especially within relationships, getting to know yourself within relationships on a deeper level. If you've had, connections with people, maybe you realize that you weren't being as vulnerable as you could be, or maybe you realized that you wanted different things in relationships than you were previously pursuing, or maybe you realized that you were carrying with you some insecurities or fears or hurts that influenced your ability to connect more open-heartedly with the people in your life. So there's a lot of ways that this can manifest, but I feel like you guys have been doing a journey with the Hermit in reverse of like really uncovering all of the stuff that gets in the way of your ability to openly connect with other people. What is the inner work that you had to do to deepen those relationships, those connections? And yeah, I don't know, maybe there could have been certain things that just created distance almost, if that makes sense. And I feel like Uranus was here to help expose whatever that was over these past 7 years and to help you build more of the sense of like camaraderie and reliance on people. And yeah, I mean, the 8th house, Uranus moving through the 8th can also suggest sometimes the opposite, where if you've been overly codependent, if you've had poor boundaries, or you've overly relied on people, Uranus moving through this house could also signify you working through unhealthy patterns in that regard to transform the way that you collaborate and connect with people. So I'm getting the sense that whatever the imbalance there was for you, that's something that you've been very, intuitively or like innately, like inside of you, I should say, internally, like working on these last 7 years. So now that we're having a new moon here, which is conjunct Uranus still, but now Uranus is moving into Gemini, or is already in Gemini, we're getting the chance to kind of lay down roots in this 8th house based off of the new foundation of what you've learned and what you've applied. So now that you know how to relate to people differently, what are these new relationships going to look like? This could also be in terms of your own, I pulled the 10 of Swords in reverse. So I was going to say this could be in terms of like your money and your own like relationship with money and stuff like that as well, because the eighth house is often centered around finances. But anyway, I pulled the Ten of Swords in reverse. So I feel like maybe there is maybe this new moon represents a changing relationship. All these cards are coming out in reverse. Let me put them upright. Yeah, a changing relationship with endings and with your kind of confidence around moving forward with cutting things out of your life. The eighth house is often where things go to die or like to leave our life and to purge our life. So I think that you guys are coming into a different type of relationship with transitions and endings and changes. And again, moving through cycles like that with a lot more confidence and trusting your own instinct with things. Again, I also think you've done a lot of like self-analysis, that you understand where you are coming from instead of leading from your shadows without awareness of that fact. I feel like you guys are really aware of your shadows. With the Page of Wands in reverse, maybe some of your shadows have to deal with being like a little bit wobbly or uncertain or all over the place and not like very decisive or committed to a specific path or a specific way forward. The Page of Wands can also represent this kind of like free-spirited energy, but I feel like maybe you guys have gotten tangled up in things. So maybe it could go to either extreme, where you've committed too soon to something and then maybe have kind of regretted it, or maybe you've been too free-spirited in certain ways and that has led to non-committal, like a trouble committing and certainty around a certain path forward. So I don't know, there's something around that I feel like you guys have done a lot of work around. And I feel like maybe it was coming from a place of like wanting to be successful or wanting to have, wanting to like prove yourself with the Six of Wands. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me leave that there for a second. So yeah, with this new moon, what is it that's blooming here, Spirit? What is it that's coming into their life? So there could be some kind of new financial matter that you are clearing up around. So deciding to make an investment with something. Yeah, I feel like there's something here around like, there's so many cards that are coming out in reverse for you. It's like kind of annoying me, even when I flip the deck. So yeah, I mean, there's Two of Swords. I feel like this is really representing getting off the fence. I feel like that's something that I was seeing here, is like a wobbliness of like, oh, I don't know, should I do that? Should I not do that? And a lot of times when we're wobbly or we're on the fence, it's because we are, again, afraid to have some kind of like major ending. We're afraid of what that commitment to a new path would require. So like if you decide to move or you decide to have kids, like you are, I mean, it doesn't have to be something so big, right? Because it's just any other new moon. But if you decide to have a new beginning, it may involve a commitment to leaving something behind in a way that you can't revive it. You can't go back to it. And it could feel, or at least not in the same way. And so that could feel very permanent and kind of scary. And so there's something about that I feel like you've been really kind of getting to know, again, yourself and your fears and your shadows and how that plays a role in your commitment and your decision-making process. And I think that there's this new moon is a lot about having the confidence to thrust yourself into the decision to maybe walk away from something or challenge something that you have been previously committed to, or approach something from a new light. Oh my God, every card is coming out in reverse. And there's so many twos as well. Two of Swords, now Two of Pentacles in reverse. Yeah, I feel like this is saying like you can't juggle two different like ways of being. You can't, if this is like you deciding, oh, I want to move in with my partner, you can't be like, oh, well, you can kind of come in and test it out and then like we'll see, like kind of having one foot in the door, one foot out. No, I'm getting the sense that like you guys have to commit fully to something, and this new moon is asking that of you in terms of your blooming. I feel like it's really asking you to be willing to commit to the end of something and the beginning of something else. So we have also the Knight of Cups in reverse in the Emperor. And I feel like you're doing this from a really grounded place. And so you, again, I think Uranus moving through the eighth these past 7 years has taught you so much about yourself and the shadows, and how the shadow self can sometimes create like dreams and illusions of like, oh, it'll be so perfect in that other place, and when I have that thing, everything will be great. And it's like the reality of building something in your life that is important to you, or going or making a big change, is like, it requires sacrifice, it requires hard work. There's always some level of discomfort, of effort, of having to grow and mature in that process. And so I feel like you guys are recognizing more of what it takes in a realistic way to make something happen. And so this could be like a commitment within a relationship, or again, a commitment to move, or just, I don't know, or even something else entirely. But there's something like this where it's like, I feel like you guys are meant to be really, even if there is fear, kind of standing 10 toes down behind a decision. And for some of you, this could be about something, about moving abroad, or something involving a relationship, because the ruler of this moon, Venus, is the ruler of the Taurus New Moon, and it's in your ninth house. So sometimes the ninth house could be, I'm going to commit to this study, or I'm going to commit to this new lease with this partner, or again, moving abroad with this person. So something like that going on that I feel like you guys are just needing to commit to. And the full blooming of it is recognizing that you have the power to move on from things, that you understand your shadows, and you're not just operating from, a place of being a runner, or a place of being non-committal or whatever, or being overly attached. Like, I think that you're a lot more self-aware in this decision, and operating from a conscious place. So that's what I see for you, Libra. I am starting a membership that's running a moon workshop this weekend. So if you're interested in attending that for this new moon, to get some practical advice and tips and help and sharing community, then you can join in the description down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, I'm next to Scorpio rising and sun. So for you guys, this Taurus new moon happening on May 16th is taking place in your 7th house. So this could give you guys the opportunity for some kind of shakeup within the area of relationships, or maybe contracts. And with Uranus conjunct this new moon, but now no longer in the same sign as a new moon, we are going to have this really interesting experience where the past 7 years, where Uranus has been in Taurus, where it's been shaking up your relationships, you've been learning a lot of lessons around what you do and don't want with people. You might have had a lot of people come in and out of your life. Maybe you've had people act really erratically, really strangely. Maybe you've somehow felt alienated or distant or disconnected from people. Maybe you just felt like your relationship kind of took a lot of hits energetically from this planet, where you wanted a lot of freedom, or space, and the relationship really had to adapt and withstand the changes going on in your life and in your emotional life as well. So there's a lot of things that could have happened at this time, and maybe you've really learned a lot again with Uranus. And so now that Uranus has just shifted signs into Gemini to stay, we are finally having this new moon in Taurus, where it used to be, and it's almost like we're laying down roots. It's almost like Uranus came and upturned all the soil in your relationships, and now it's moved on. It's still energetically influential, so it is still like kind of there ephemerally almost. But Taurus wants us to plant seeds now, because the tornado has moved on, even though it's in the vicinity. And so we're needing to plant seeds that embody the new types of relationships that we want, integrating the lessons and the changes that we need to make to our relationships that we've been learning and really implementing over these last 7 years. So it could feel like a little bit of a stretch, because the ruler of this moon, Venus, is in Gemini in the 8th, and it's sextiling Chiron and Mars in Aries. So there could definitely be some stuff around boundaries, around self-worth, around equality within relationships or intimacy within relationships, or how you work together with people, or how you use money in your partnerships and relationships that could really come to the surface. And some of it you could feel confident about, and some of it you could still feel kind of insecure about. But now is a time to prove to the universe that the things that you've been put through these last 7 years have been integrated, that you understand that you need to apply what you've learned and make a different choice. So it's important right now that you don't approach relationships or contracts or commitments with business or other entities in the same way that you've done so in the past. And so you're here to kind of rewrite that story. So Spirit, what is it that is being rewritten here? Or what is the new kind of blooming energy for my Scorpios? I think one of the things you can expect moving forward is greater stability within relationships, people who see you on a deeper level. And that could feel like it brings up maybe some insecurities as well, because when people peer into our soul and they see us on this more kind of intimate level, it can feel scary. If this is dealing with a contract with a company or like a landlord or something, I think that this is going to maybe come on quite suddenly, or you're going to make a change around it quite suddenly. And it could involve to some degree like a merging of resources, or needing to really trust the people that you are getting into bed with, for lack of a better term. So part of what's newly unfolding and blooming for you is the King of Wands. So I think that you guys are really stepping up more in your leadership, and this could be related to this Mars and Aries as well, where I think that this can speak to boundaries, but I think also it speaks a lot to like your confidence and what you will and won't accept within relationships, and this ability to take up space and have presence within your relationships in ways that maybe you didn't before. So if you let people kind of like outshine you previously, and this could also be related to, you know, Pisces, your North Node, the North Node transiting through Pisces in your 5th, you might have been going through like a larger awakening of getting to know more of your essence. And so maybe that's something that you are more proudly displaying in your relationships. And again, allowing people to see and witness that, and also not letting people kind of coerce or influence you or take something away from that like empowered sense of self. So I just see you guys like taking up more space, standing strong. I mean, it will depend on who's watching this, how much space you should or shouldn't take up compared to previously. 5 of Pentacles. I feel like I think that you kind of understand like what your deficits are in the Magician. I think that's part of what's empowering about the King of Wands, is like knowing that you're not just, you know, almost like egoically the best person ever. You know that you have really good traits and then things that you struggle with. We all do. And so it's like a very real understanding of yourself. I feel like this is really speaking a lot to yourself, and understanding like where you shine in life, and again, where you kind of lack certain qualities, and how relationships can come in and fill that gap and support the cultivation of those things that you lack, or come into true sense of partnership of this person has something that I don't have, and so they can again support me in some kind of way. But with the Magician, but I also own the tools, the resources, the skills that I have now. So I'm like really proud of what I have to offer as well. It's not coming from a diminished place. It's just a realistic place of like, I see what I don't have, and they're bringing that to the table in this relationship. Yeah, so it's like I'm getting this sense of like you guys coming into a real even partnership here, where there's a mutual sharing of resources and beneficial traits that is going to create a holistic picture of a perfect person, I guess. So, okay, what else? You have the Fool. I love this. So I feel like you're also starting fresh in terms of relationships. If you're single right now and like you're interested in somebody, this is obviously for a small group of you, but this could be in any relationship, even if you're not single. But if that matches you, or if you've been in a relationship that's been going through maybe some hard times recently, I really feel like this new moon is about rooting into a solid foundation of equal partnership and having a fresh start on a level playing field. Again, if you have been attracting relationships of imbalance, I feel like that's something that you're going to be very aware of and needing to operate more from a place of balance. If you're like a powerful personality and you attract people who are kind of more, I don't know, like subservient. I hate to say that, but that is kind of an energetic, like alpha versus beta kind of vibes. There's something like that, that if that's been you in the past, this is you need to level out the playing field and get into a relationship with somebody who would challenge you just as much as you would challenge them. And then vice versa as well. So there's this idea here of needing to be, things need to be like fair, and having this equal playing field, this fresh start, letting the past go as well. So if you've been hurt in relationships, if this is speaking to one specific person, if there's a specific person out there who's hurt you, really deciding that you're truly going to move on. With the 8 of Cups in reverse, not carrying with you the past like pains from that person. If they cheated on you and you decide to stay with them and forgive them, really allowing that to be a new slate. I know it's so much easier said than done. And I think also not trying to operate from a place of hyper independence. So recognizing where you need to rely more on others and maybe be vulnerable and trust that those people will support you if they get past your filter, right? Like we're still going to have discernment here. So yeah, I feel like this is a new beginning for you guys to have some really solid foundations within your relationships where you're really going to find the people that have the things that you lack and that can offer support. But it's important to allow this to be a true new leaf. And I think that's related to Uranus being conjunct this moon, like really letting the past be in the past, even if it's a different type of relationship that was affecting you, like letting that go and getting out of any phase of hyper independence and embracing this idea of mutual reciprocity. So that's what I see for you, Scorpio. If you enjoyed this, then you might want to check out my moon workshop or moon circle that I'm hosting this weekend. That's a part of my new membership. I will link that in my description box down below if you want to check that out. Don't forget to like and comment and subscribe and share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, next we have Sag, rising and sun. So this Taurus new moon happening on May 16th is taking place in your 6th house. And it's super funny because my friend is, I believe she's a Sag rising, and she is getting a new job right now. She said it came out unexpectedly. And I think that this is the kind of energy that we can expect to see with a new moon like this, with it being conjunct Uranus and also in your 6th house of work and of health. You guys might find that things kind of come out of the woodwork in a way that you didn't expect in those areas. So maybe, a random way to treat your health in a better way, like a new form of exercise, a new diet, a new routine that you can have, or, thing to support your sleep, or new medicine, or I don't know, anything like that to support your health, or maybe again, a new kind of job or something like that. This is a time of blooming, of rooting into something substantial. And it comes on the back of Uranus leaving its 7-year journey through Taurus in the 6th house where this new moon is taking place. So I was saying in the Scorpio reading that Uranus is kind of like a little tornado that comes in and digs up all the earth and creates this little like chaos vortex and then leaves. And now it's in Gemini. And now that we have this new moon in Taurus, we're coming to plant the seed with that turned up soil. And we've learned all of these lessons as the soil was being turned. And those lessons have in a lot of ways been about innovating the way that we approach our career, what our values are in our career and our work, how we show up in our day-to-day routine, and how we take care of our health, and what our role is within a company or within a household, and how do all these different hats work within our life, and how do we alternate them? And so Uranus here has been maybe provoking and challenging the way that we used to do things. And now that it has finally shifted into Gemini, though still conjunct this new moon, it gives us an opportunity to, again, plant a seed that comes quite suddenly on the back of this learning experience, where we're meant to be proving to the universe that we are willing to embrace change and this kind of new energy that is incorporating the previous lessons that we've learned. So if you learned that I don't work well in the morning, maybe you get an opportunity now to get a nighttime job, and you take that, and it allows you to, show that you've like been willing to adapt based off of what you've been going through these last 7 years in terms of your schedule and your health and your work. Yeah, I feel like if you guys, with the Five of Wands in reverse, if you guys have had a lot of competing priorities, I feel like you're getting really clear on what needs your time the most, what needs to take center stage, and how to build your life in a day-to-day practical sense around those priorities and values. So for my friend, for example, as a mother, this is somebody who's going to want to prioritize a job that supports maybe picking her kids up from school, or working from home so she can be with them, or be able to take some time off really easily to take them to the doctors. So there's stuff like that that are, I mean, yours could look totally different depending on what phase of life you're in, but there's something like that where you guys are really needing to get very clear on what it looks like in a practical sense to take care of your health and your work in a way that meets these needs you've been discovering over these last 7 years. So the new thing that's blooming, we have the Ace of Pentacles and the Moon. I think, again, there's going to be some kind of unexpected financial or career opportunity around the corner. The Moon represents things that you don't see yet, things that are, again, kind of coming out of nowhere, or that reveal themselves, behind a cloud, like the moon. Yeah, the moon has this kind of elusive quality, but the moon is also something that respects our cycle of life. And so if you are in a different cycle and you need to slow down, or you need to speed up, or, somehow pivot energetically to match what you want to accomplish with your life, the moon can represent this kind of cyclical nature and finding some potential new career opportunity or new way to spend your time, even if it's just like somehow an investment in time. Like, I'm retired now, so I go play pickleball every day. So that is still an Ace of Pentacles thing where you're going out there into the physical world and putting time and energy into something. And it's something that matches the phase of life that you're in. So that's what this new moon is about, is updating your schedule and your energy and your investment into something based off of the cycle that you're in. Be careful that you don't subscribe and hold yourself to standards of activity and accomplishments that are not your own. With the Eight of Cups in reverse, we have to be willing to walk away from what we have known, from how we have done things, from how society prescribes success looks like. And with the North Node in Pisces moving through your fourth house, I think a lot of what you've been going through has been focusing on rest, focusing on your family, on taking care of your home or building up your home, on getting to know yourself on a deeper emotional or physical level, on saving money and conserving energy. That's been more of like an internal focus kind of year. And so if that, like, society doesn't necessarily outwardly value that. And so it could feel like I'm behind or whatever. But I feel like what you're really doing is you're actually succeeding a lot. It's just, yeah, I think it's just being willing to leave the thing that is socially acceptable is always a little bit hard. The ruler of this new moon is Venus, which is in Saturn, or in your seventh house, in the sign of Gemini. So other people could play a really critical role right now. For my friend, for example, she was able to get this job through a previous person that she worked with. So it was that connection piece that made a difference in this contract. But seventh house can also speak to contracts. But yeah, I don't know, you might meet somebody new right now, or have somebody come into play into something within your work or your health, like meeting a new doctor. That could be very helpful, like a naturopath, for example, or something along those lines. This could somehow be connected to your children as well, with Venus making a sextile to Mars and Chiron if you have children. If not, there could be some kind of like connection here to something that you've always really wanted or that you've really desired, but maybe haven't always had the confidence to go for it. Maybe somebody else could play a big role in helping you gain that confidence, or helping you up level in some capacity, because they like believe in you, or they give you a chance with something, or they work with you on something to develop it further. So what is blooming for my Sages? What's blooming for Sag? So we have the High Priestess and the Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, I think that you're just really understanding how this feels like the North Node of Pisces is the High Priestess, and the Knight of Pentacles is this new moon in Taurus in the 6th. It's like you're really understanding this balance between taking care of yourself on a spiritual level, on a soul level, following your intuition, listening to kind of that softer, side of yourself that's like, this is what my intuition is telling me about my needs and my sense of direction in life. So you're doing that, and you're also abiding by the kind of material structure to support that. So what would it look like to structure my day so that I have time to read or to rest or to create or to spend time playing with my children or to spend time outdoors or to heal or to be developing my psychic abilities? I don't know, whatever you're interested in. It's like, how do I actually make my routine fit around those priorities in my life, that soft life? Like, that's what I'm seeing. There's something about like a soft life here that is key with North Node and Pisces in the 4th. So I feel like that's the message, but let me just see if there's anything else. So the last thing we have is Queen of Pentacles in reverse. Yeah, and this is looking at anything that feels like it's taking away from your sense of nourishment. That's what I think the biggest thing right now is, like, what nourishes me? And sometimes that might even involve taking a pay cut or stepping back from some type of, again, material success or from some type of, advancement, go, 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 or hitting certain timelines or deadlines or expectations. Sometimes it looks a little bit more introverted. Sometimes it looks like taking a day off and taking a step back. So there's something about that where I feel like you guys can encourage yourself to embrace a little bit more of that softness, even if on the outside other people don't get it, because I think it's going to serve you more in the long run for whatever cycle of life you are preparing for next. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Sag. If this is helpful, then you might you might want to check out my moon circle or moon workshop that I'm running this weekend. It's part of my membership, and I will link all the information for that in the description box down below. But if you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe and comment and like and share with your friends, and have a great day. Bye. All right, next we have Capricorn rising and sun. This Taurus new moon on May 16th is taking place in your 5th house. And something interesting just happened. I started recording your video, and then I got a call, which was really loud and disrupted the whole thing. And I always feel like there's usually something related to that in terms of message. So I feel like part of what the message here is that there may be a second try for something in your life, or it may be like time to answer the call for something that is significant coming up, that you might feel really inspired by something, or you might feel like something is finally working, finally smooth, or clicking into place in some kind of way, and it's your chance to act on it and to build on it, and that you might even see some type of material success or get some kind of recognition or almost get some kind of nod from the universe or sign that it's going to go in your favor and this is your time to try something. So there's something about that I feel like is coming up for you guys. And a new moon in the 5th house can be that way, right? It's a 5th house is a lot around our visibility and our ability to have some kind of like recognition, for the work that we're doing. And you guys have had an interesting relationship with that over these last 7 years, because Uranus has been moving through the sign of Taurus until somewhat recently, where it shifted into Gemini and is remaining in Gemini from now on. So not from now on, but for the next cycle. So basically this Taurus new moon is giving us the opportunity to plant a seed in the area of our life that just got really upturned by Uranus's volatility. And so Uranus moving through the 5th could have had you having a lot of changes to like things that there's so many things with the 5th house. There could have been changes around things with your children. There could have been changes around you realizing that you want to pursue more of a creative hobby in a serious manner. You could have made a lot of new friends or lost friends, or you could have entered into, dating relationships. You could have had changes around your style, around your sexuality, around your self-expression. So there's so many different things that could have been happening over these last 7 years. But ultimately, I feel like, part of what this period has been about for you has been kind of bringing you out with the 4 of Pentacles and the moon in reverse. I feel like Uranus in some ways was trying to like expose you, not in a bad way, but like expose more of who you are to the world. Because the 5th house is a lot of our unique essence, our unique gifts. What is our specific like makeup as a soul that we've come here to show the world? And with Uranus in this house, the last 7 years, you've been maybe like hiding some of those unique qualities or unique gifts in some capacity. And it's been slowly trying to get you to break down the walls and expose more of like who you truly are at your core. So for example, if you've always been kind of different, maybe you realize that, oh, I'm really interested in astrology or woo-woo, and you slowly start to show that to the world. Whereas before, maybe you tried to hide it or tried to not acknowledge it. Or maybe it's something different. Maybe you have a creative personality that you didn't get to show yet and that you really want to bring to the surface. Or maybe this is something entirely different. Maybe this is related to your children and you've slowly gotten to see them on a deeper level and see them more like for who they are in ways that maybe you missed at first somehow. So this could also speak to children always. So that's part of this message. The Seven of Swords and Temperance, I also feel like part of what Uranus moving through the fifth has been teaching you is about spontaneous self-expression and less about like strategic or inhibited and self-moderated expression. I feel like you guys have been, Capricorn, you're known to be quite controlled. You're known to be, again, quite strategic, or like, okay, I'm going to give this much away and I'm not going to tell this, or I'm going to strategic vulnerability could be the thing, or just something around like you're holding back to some degree, like the expressiveness, the level of letting something out of you, again, is kind of somehow curated, controlled, or moderated to a degree that makes it not inauthentic, because it is authentic, but it's not like the full version of who you are. It's not raw. It's, again, kind of like edited or curated to look and appeal in a certain way. And that has had its time and its place. But Uranus moving through the fifth has been trying to open you up to a more like spontaneous and overt and unedited version of who you are in the world. And so that's what I think that this new moon is about specifically. And this could, again, also relate to your relationship and your perception of your children. So if this is not really relating to you right now, think about your relationship with your children. Maybe you've had to try to like look to be the perfect parent and always trying to like do things a certain way and trying to make your kids have this perfect experience. And maybe there's something that's becoming a little bit more, again, raw and kind of vulnerable even in that relationship. And maybe it's becoming less, I don't know. I'll let you apply that however it be. So with this Taurus new moon, that's what you've been learning, but now we're planting some kind of seed that shows that you have learned that. So this could be taking some kind of chance, within your creative expression. This could be going on a date and showing more of who you are in that way, or posting something on social media, or posting an art piece, or doing your first, astrology reading if you're an astrologer. Or if this is something with your kid, this is like maybe showing some kind of like something with your kid, some kind of token or whatever of this ability to be able to see each other more at more of your core. So something like that you guys are meant to be doing at this new moon. And with the ruler of this new moon, Venus, being in your sixth house, this could also come through something within the workplace or within your like health or your day-to-day life. There could be something that shows up there. So maybe it's something that you are, again, expressing more of who you are within the workplace in some kind of capacity. And Venus does sextile Mars and Chiron 4. So you could feel like insecure at times for exposing parts of yourself emotionally, or exposing parts of your home life or parts of things that happen behind the curtains. You could feel nervous about that or stressed about that. But it's important right now to be more of yourself anyway. And yeah, I see that with the Page of Wands. Exactly. This is a very like free-spirited and spontaneous kind of card. And it's very open and expressive. And that's what I feel like you guys are coming into. And recognizing with the Tower in reverse that you can deconstruct your walls and that you're still safe. Like you can collapse the barriers in between you and other people, maybe even you and the public. And you're still safe. So this could be on social media. This could be in a relationship. This could be in the workplace. Not to say like to go and like put your personal life on blast in the workplace. it's not that, but it might be something that you like own more of what your natural talents are in the workplace, and you say like, oh, I'm actually really good at Excel. I don't know, something like that, that like you haven't maybe like tooted your own horn before, and it's time to say that, and like, yeah, have people see more of what you're capable of that they might not know. Like, oh, I'm actually a really good baker, or something like that, where it's like maybe people didn't know that you had that hobby or that skill set. I think that maybe you've been worried about like outshining people, or like having people see you as a threat or as a competition, or about being too much or too loud or too this or too that. Some of you guys could have that fear that if I present myself outwardly, that I'm going to be bullied or attacked online, or that people are going to criticize this part of me or whatever. And I'm not going to lie to you and say that that's not possible, because I do think that whenever we shine, we attract bugs. And there is some element of always having the potential for like opposition to occur, especially the more you become visible. I think that is a real concern. However, I really feel like you will get this kind of equal amount of love and strength and support, or even more so, I should say, that will outshine that with the Ace of Cups and the Knight of Swords. Like, I see people really coming to your rescue, or like people who are really supporting you, or with the Ace of Cups, like, I don't know, I just feel like you're going to get a lot of fulfillment, and you're going to get a lot out of this. I don't know if there's something around like messages or marketing with the Knight of Swords. It's almost like if you put yourself out there more in some way, and you say, I'm actually really good at this, and then your boss kind of gives you a raise, or gives you, I don't know, it's maybe too idealistic, but maybe they give you some kind of more responsibility, for example, that allows you to use that skill, and then somebody has something to say about it, but it's like, whatever, because you're moving forward really quickly now. So I just think it's a lot more about like trusting yourself that you can shine here. Is there any last messages for Capricorn spirit? We have the Two of Swords. Yeah, so one of the things that I said to Libra was like, I mean, I didn't say this, but shit or get off the pot kind of thing. I hate to say that, but yeah, it's basically like committing to this, like standing 10 toes down. I'm good at this. I'm going to make a decision around this. I'm not going to waver. I'm going to hold strong in my knowledge that I'm like, yeah, that I can go forward with whatever this is, if there's something that you want to start. So that's what I see for you, Capricorn. Let me know in the comments down below what that thing is, if this is bringing something up for you. I am launching a membership this weekend. We're going to have our first moon circle. So if you are interested in potentially joining that, you can check that out in the description box down below if you want to meet me and also meet community. That's really a big part of this. And don't forget to also like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, I'm next to Aquarius rising and sun. So this Taurus new moon happening on May 16th is taking place in your 4th house. So Aquarius, you might have some kind of new beginning in the area of your home and stability. And this has been an area for you that has been undergoing some ups and downs and changes in this last 7-year period. Maybe you've had, as Uranus has been moving through Taurus previously in the 7-year period, maybe you've had, like maybe you moved or changed, maybe you had kids, or maybe you had a loss in the family, or some kind of massive transition around your finances or your security and your roots. So it could have felt like things have been like displacing you a little bit, or destabilizing you over these last 7 years. And now that Uranus has finally moved into Gemini and we have this Taurus new moon, we're putting down roots in a way that may feel really new for you guys, or like it's a sense of stability that is being built off of the instability. But the instability was here to teach you certain lessons. And now at this new moon, we're meant to be making certain changes to the way that we find security based off of those lessons that we learned. And so, yeah, I feel like with the 3 of Wands in reverse and 10 of Wands in reverse, I feel like you guys are meant to be finding a way to like make things easier on yourself. The 3 of Wands is a very adventurous card. It's about going out there and traveling and going into the world. But this card is reverse, and this 10 of Wands is in reverse as well. So maybe there's something here about you guys needing to find ways to bring something closer to home, to feel like something gets to be easy, like it's not a huge risk, that yeah, maybe it's something that you get to be confident in with the King of Wands. Like maybe you've just had some kind of instability again with the home environment or something like that, and you felt maybe somehow unsafe or again uprooted, and maybe it's constantly had you having to like put energy and try to like create that sense of security for yourself. And I feel like this is more of a period of things get to feel like things in the house don't have to be stressful. Things in the house, they don't have to feel like I'm always like trying to do more and reach more. Like I can just be in this phase of taking care of myself, and I can be really confident and build myself up through the activities that bring me my spark and bring me joy and build me up. So that's the phase that I feel like you're in. If things have been like so tumultuous for you these past 7 years that they've taken away from your sense of self, your sense of self-worth, your confidence, your feeling of security, or if they've just been a lot of like external stuff going on, I really get the sense that this is a time of coming back to like yourself, being able to incubate, being able to create roots. But these roots now are going to be different than before. Maybe the places that you were rooting into before, or the way that you were going about it, was somehow like not right for you. And that's what Uranus was there to teach you. So what was that, Spirit? What was Uranus in the 7th house like here to teach? So we have the 3 of Swords. I mean, I just feel like I feel like some of you guys went through some painful stuff over the last 7 years. Maybe it was like just around healing stuff within our own, yeah, I don't know. I think it's something about sometimes we can try to find, when we can try to find home or approach home or family in certain ways sometimes that's coming from a wounded place, and then where we take root or where we try to find security is actually something that doesn't uplift us. So like this could even be in any area of life, but maybe trying to fit into the wrong friends, maybe ending up with the wrong partner, maybe being at a job that's toxic for you. Like there's something like that where you could have been in environments that you felt like you had to do that to survive, or you felt like you attracted that from like a wounded place or an insecure place, or maybe you perpetuated some kind of family cycle that you've been involved in because there's some wounding there. It's going to look different for all of you, but there's probably something like that that you guys have been stuck in. And Uranus here was almost trying to expose the incompatibility of that energy or the woundedness of that energy, almost to show you that it's time to find your place of where you are received, of where things get to be easy, where they get to feel light and joyful and stable, and not something where you have to feel like I have to prove my worth or prove myself or fit in somewhere or overextend myself for someone or something. You know, it's like I just get to be safe here and be accepted here and not be disrupted. Like, and this could look so different for different people. So that's what I'm seeing with this new moon. And again, we have to learn the lesson of this Uranus energy and apply it to this new moon. So not going back to those toxic places or people, not trying to go back into the same pattern and date the same people or end up in the same place again, like, or continue like family cycles. Instead, we're making different choices. So what does that look like? What is this new thing that's blooming? We have the 7 of Wands in reverse. Not trying to prove who you are. 8 of Wands in reverse. Not trying to overextend yourself or do too much. The Lovers in reverse. Not trying to be compatible with things and people who are not like naturally a match. This is just simple. Like I'm not having to force myself into anything. That's what I'm seeing here. It's a lot around relationships. And I think that that speaks to Venus, the ruler of this new moon, being in the 5th. So a lot of you guys, this could speak to like any kind of relationship, but especially children if you have children. We have the Ace of Pentacles in reverse and 7 of Pentacles. I feel like maybe there's something with the Ace of Pentacles in reverse that you are deciding to like disengage from or not be a part of or leave, like recognizing like I don't want that kind of like an opportunity could come your way and you're like, I don't want that. Instead, I'm going to continue to like, I'm going to invest my energy here with the Seven of Pentacles. I don't know. I just feel like there's something around discernment of where you're placing your time and your energy and your resources. You're not focusing a lot on like things that aren't promising for your own stability. I see you guys being very aware of the people, the energy, the environments, the jobs that build you up emotionally and physically and energetically, and you're applying yourself there. We have the Five of Pentacles. And not trying to figure out what's wrong with you with the Five of Pentacles. Like, I think that that's a lot of this North Node and Pisces in your second house that's been moving through there. This has been about building up your self-worth. And even, yeah, I feel like you guys, I almost feel like this Five of Pentacles could speak to always trying to like figure out why you are struggling with something instead of, or focusing on the lack of something. Like, why don't I have this money? Or why don't I have, you know, my kids having this in their life? Like, what, seeing something that's missing. I feel like that's what you guys, this new moon is asking you to like not focus on anymore, because you've been going through periods of lack. And I feel like this new moon is trying to give someone, maybe your kids, a win, or maybe some kind of win in your life. There's some kind of like security that wants to build, maybe it's some kind of new financial beginning that wants to build, but you need to not focus on what is lacking in that process. That's really important. Maybe for some of you, certain relationships, maybe you've gotten a divorce or ended certain relationships. It's going to be, again, so different for everybody. And this is about turning over a new emotional leaf instead of focusing on the things that you've lost. This is an interesting relationship. I feel like it's a lot around like, because I feel like everyone is having something blooming in their life, and yours is kind of focusing a lot on like the things that have taken away your sense of stability and your sense of like emotional well-being, and trying to move away from that. Even if it's simply anxiety, because the ruler of this moon, Venus, is sextiling Mars and Chiron in the third. Maybe you're anxious about your kids, or maybe you're anxious about like something that you really want or that you really enjoy. Let me pull a card, like Spirit, what is blooming here? Because I feel like I'm kind of getting a message more about what not to do. What's blooming here for my Aquarius, Spirit? We have the Fountain. Let's see what this Oracle card says. Sometimes Oracle cards answer your question more spot on. The Fountain. Sign of joy and excitement. Yeah, exactly. I feel like you guys are building yourself back up, building up your joy and your emotional nourishment and well-being. The wellspring of blessings is infinite. The fountain is a sign of joy. It's a message for your inner child to come out and play. Just as there is moments to be serious, there are also moments to play and be silly. Order and discipline are necessary, but so are pleasure and delight. You don't need to be productive all the time. You don't need to turn every hobby into a business. Take time to find an activity that is purely done for enjoyment without you having to be the best at it. Play, laugh, feed your imagination, and keep your spirit young and excited. Connect with the essence of joy, because it is a fountain of inspiration for your dreams. When in balance, you're listening to your inner child, experiencing joy, heightened imagination, and having fun. So yeah, I feel like life has kind of jaded you with this Uranus transit in the fourth. Maybe you've had things that have been weighed on you in the past, and now you're opening up to a period and a new cycle where you can just have fun. Uranus in the fifth is a lot about embracing that inner child. Maybe you decide to have children. Maybe you decide to start new hobbies that make you feel like you are embracing your child's self, stuff that you've always loved doing or always wanted to do. So I feel like you guys, what's blooming for you is a lightening of your spirit and a lightening of your heart. And so part of what this is doing with this new moon in the fourth is creating this kind of safe space, because a kid can only be a kid when it's safe at home. If you see a kid that's being abused, that's malnourished, that maybe is being neglected in some way, you can see that that kid is, they don't look young, right? They look tortured. And I feel like that's been your inner child lately. Like these last 7 years have put you through things that maybe you've worked too hard, or you went without something, or maybe you've had certain losses or challenges, or maybe certain health crises or issues within your family that have just caused some kind of stress. And yeah, I don't know. I just think that you guys need to come back to lightness of spirit, enjoying more of life, being playful, not taking things seriously, like being able to focus on things in your life that feel not serious at all. And you can only do that when you have that really safe home and space and secure place to move from, like your inner child needs. So that's what I'm seeing for this new moon, and I hope that you guys can do that for yourselves. Feel free to start a new hobby and talk to different people and socialize or whatever feels exciting to you. So yeah, that's all I have for you guys, but I'm going to host a Taurus New Moon workshop this weekend. So if you guys want to put some of this into practice and join a community, or if you want some additional support around astrology transits, then make sure you check out that membership that I will link down below. And don't forget to also support my video by liking, commenting, subscribing, and I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, and last but not least, we have Pisces rising and sun. This Taurus new moon happening on May 16th is taking place in your third house. So we've been going through an interesting time where we've been having Uranus move through your third house, where this new moon is taking place over these last 7 years. So there's been a lot of changes and fluctuations going on, maybe in the area of your communication, maybe in your travel or your busyness or your perspective on something or your socialization around something, your expression around something, or thoughts around something. Uranus can come in here and uproot and again change around those areas. And this could also be related to siblings. So those areas over the last 7 years could have gone through some kind of renovation. And with the Hierophant in the reverse, Ace of Cups, and the Three of Swords, maybe part of what you guys have been doing was kind of coming into your own voice and challenging maybe certain narratives that you have been taught. With the Hierophant in reverse and the Ace of Cups upright, I feel like you guys were almost, with Uranus moving through the third, getting to know like more of what you really think about something that doesn't fit into the mold of society, or listening to your intuition about something, even if it didn't always like make logical sense. There's something here about that where you're not, almost like you weren't waiting as much for evidence, or you were challenging specific notions around establishments and like what they thought, like the frameworks that they push, or the ways that they taught things. Like you were basically unlearning things, I feel like, or challenging things that you had learned, and deciding for yourself with the Ace of Cups what felt right, what felt intuitively to spark something within you, and what didn't. And I think that this could have been a painful process at a certain point. Maybe you had to learn how to disidentify with certain things that you had grown really accustomed to or really comfortable to. And the Three of Swords, maybe there could have been people who kind of ostracized you or made you feel different in some way for speaking your mind or speaking your truth. This could have also affected you on a relationship level as well, where you were speaking your truth as a person, or you were being honest with people or direct with people, and then I don't know, I could just see something around this where I feel like there was some lack of acceptance, or maybe a feeling of rejection in some way, and that could have been uncomfortable for you. So with this new moon in the third house, I feel like you guys are meant to be creating a more kind of solid foundation around what you think, or how you communicate, or how you socialize, that is based off of what you've been learning these last few years. So if you've learned, like, for example, if you've always grown up in a really religious household, and then all of a sudden you get really interested in like woo-woo stuff like astrology, you're watching this, so maybe you're interested in it. And then maybe these last 7 years you've been learning to discover more about kind of the world through the lens of spirituality that isn't religious. And there could have been some challenges in that, in your relationships with your family or people who didn't get that. And so this new moon, you might have a chance to like start a podcast, or maybe go to an event or something where you are surrounded by people teaching and learning and talking about, or you being a part of it, where you are teaching and learning and talking about the things that you have maybe kind of did behind closed doors, or that you have challenged and again learned from these past 7 years that other people don't really get. So this new moon is your opportunity to kind of almost like present yourself in some kind of way, or learn more about something in some kind of way. Maybe you decide to take a course on astrology. Maybe you decide to, I mean, just giving that with the previous example, but maybe you decide to do something to, again, start a podcast or announce something that you previously weren't like publicly owning as much, if that makes sense. So Spirit, what's the new thing that's blooming for them? We have the Strength card. We have the Sun card. What's blooming for them? We have the Nine of Swords and the Three of Wands. Yeah, I feel like you guys are finally like having the courage to step out in the world in some way. Maybe you're even going to travel somewhere new. You're going to step out in the world in some way and own like some kind of like personal identity with the Sun card. You're going to have the bravery and the courage to shine a light on some aspect of yourself, to feel like to proudly own some part of yourself. And I think I could see you taking some kind of like risk or travel or advancement in your life to promote or to like, advance whatever this is, to develop something. So if it's a skill, like, oh, I've always done work like this, but now I want to do it in this new, entirely different way. And like, this is the opportunity. I'm going to go out and learn from this person. Like, I could see you guys getting really excited about it. You could feel potentially uncertain or nervous in some way, especially if this involves some kind of financial decision or somehow involves family or other people's opinions within your family. So that could also be something that comes through, because the ruler of this new moon is Venus in your 4th house. So this could tie to like family background or like your home or something around your emotions or your past. Like maybe there's some relationship to that. And that Venus is sextiling Chiron and Mars in your 2nd. So there's again something around values and worth and self-worth and money. So that's why I was like, maybe you decide to, I don't know, move somewhere new or try to learn something new or buy some kind of course, and your family's like, why are you doing that? I don't know. This is just an example, but please don't get stuck on the example itself, because that's not going to apply to many of you. What else, Spirit, is going on here for them? What's going on here for my Pisces Spirit? With the King of Wands, it's been coming out for like every group so far. King of Wands and Nine of Cups. Yeah, I feel like you guys are being asked to have the courage to go after the thing that like you really want and that you're actually really excited about. I think that, again, maybe in some way you were trying to like, maybe in some way, yeah, maybe you felt like stifled in some way, or like trying to follow a certain program. And that was way in the past. And now you're like, I really want to embrace 100% of like this new concept, this thing that I'm really excited about. Take it to a new level, even if you've already been doing it. Something that you're really excited about, like with the Nine of Cups, something that you are very fulfilled by. We have the Fountain. This is a card around joy. Something that, yeah, brings you a lot of joy. Any last message, Spirit? My throat's like gone really dry. The Crown and the Feather. I don't know if I'm getting sick. Okay. Signs of success and achievement with the Crown card. So yeah, this new path is going to be really successful for you. It's going to have a really positive outcome for you. And then the Feather, sign of faith and trust, being optimistic and hopeful, believing in yourself and feeling deserving and angelically protected. So that's really beautiful, Pisces. Whatever this new path is, I feel like you are like, you're innovating something, you're building on something that challenged your previous societal influences and ways that things were taught. And I really feel like you're having the courage to step more into the light with something, or like go out into the world with it. And it's protected and you're really divinely guided. It's going to bring you a lot of joy. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid if you can help it. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Pisces. If that resonates, let me know in the comments down below. I am hosting a new moon circle on Sunday as a part of my new membership. And I'm also teaching about transits and whatnot within that membership in a different tier. So if you're interested in either kind of predicting things for yourself or working with the moon, then check that out in the description box down below. I hope to see you there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.